Oh, sorry, a minute had passed. Normally I start the stream after like 30 seconds. Hey, Kevin, hey, Reformulate. Finally catching the start of the stream. Yeah, welcome in. Happy Friday. We are going to be doing the usual. I want to split my days up mostly into mornings, like improve the demo, and then afternoons, something different somehow. I don't know. And I'd originally talked about working on music today. I don't think that's a good idea. I just don't think it's the most pressing thing, and I can probably make more progress off stream, and it's probably not that interesting. So I think this afternoon we're going to probably do the intro to the game, which I'm excited about. It's going to be something a little bit different, and also it's going to involve a lot of different steps because we got to start by storyboarding and then mocking it up and then actually, like, I don't know, developing it. Although we might not be able to do the last part without having a real artwork. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think we're going to start with PRs. Let's go take a look at those. Yeah, Kevin made a couple here. And okay, this one I'm going to hold off on because I want to send Explosive James a specific build. Should probably do that this weekend. In fact, let me write that down. Where is that? Yeah, it's written down. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is going to be great. Let's take a look at this. Make town perks more obvious when you can afford them. And this is improve visibility of the costs. Yeah, nice, nice, nice. Adds a small modulate when the player can't afford the perk. Makes the disabled button's font color a bit darker to improve the contrast. Yeah, I think this is good. I think the only thing I might do here is darken this a little bit more. But let's go try it out. Because this change alone, I'm guessing this did not take Kevin a very long time. And yet, just look at the difference between the left side and the right side here. Like on the left side is obvious what you can afford at a glance. And the only way you can tell is that these are like really faded out. And the ones that you can tell it for, can you read these numbers? So now on the right side, it's like, okay, you can tell because the icon changes. Not the arrows. We're not going to use that. That's a temporary icon. Oh, in fact, you know what I just thought about? I wonder if we should split out this icon graphic so that when we do have a temporary one, it's got the background. It wouldn't look perfect. Yeah, I wonder if we should do that. The thing is, that's the kind of work that if it takes 3 minutes, okay, great. Yeah, it'll pay off. But if it takes anything longer than 3 minutes, I don't think it's ever going to pay off. Because the whole point of the temporary icons is that they're temporary. And people won't be seeing them in the demo eventually. All right, well, that was just a thought. I think it actually would be kind of cool to do. We just shrink the icon a little bit and then put in the background. I might write that down because it's not going to be obvious when you can afford this. And it's also not clear why it looks different. And we could just manually do it. I guess it doesn't have to take that long, right? Yeah, maybe that is what we do. All right, consider writing a small tool or README for how to take a temp icon and add the background to it so that it'll be obvious when so it'll be more consistent, I guess. I'll spend a little bit of time. Should be easy to write a Python script to do it. Yeah, it should be. Well, I think. I don't actually know. Let me think about this. So I was going to say, it doesn't have to be loaded in as an SVG. We could rasterize it outside of Skeleseller. And that should be easy enough to do. I think converting the background into an SVG. Oh, wait, we have the background as an SVG, though. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if it's worth even doing. Yeah, I'm just going to delete that. Let's go try this out. This is 919. PR checkout 919. Take a look if you want, so I just don't want to do it. Well, the thing is, it's like if you want to speed run making that, then that's great. But I'd probably try to spend like less than 10 minutes on it because it's almost certainly not worth it to do anything more than that. We could always in 1 minute probably manually take the graphic, slap it on another graphic, and then just save it. Hey, Monetic Mind, how's it going? Okay, so we loaded this up. Let's go try it out. And the only thing I said I might want to do is darken some of these icons a little bit more, but let's see what they look like. Should be as easy as opening both on Inkscape. Yeah, how many do we have? Let's go take a quick look at that. And I'll probably be adding some more. There and there. Okay, so 1, 2. Yeah, we only have 2. This one and this one. Those are the only temporary icons we have right now. So yeah, I guess it's not that hard to just make the 2 slightly less temporary graphics. But yeah, so here we can now see which things we can afford. The other thing I was thinking is Kevin submitted a PR, or not a PR. There's an issue that's been updated here. And there's this shader where you can see this like shine effect on the icons. We could potentially do that for ones that you could afford. And that way, not only are these darker, but then the ones you can afford are lit up. It would attract your eye to them. Into a hockey game. I think I've been to 1 hockey game in my life. And the thing I remember most about it was Dippin' Dots. Are you into hockey, Magnetic Mind? And I'm doing well. Skeleseller's doing well. Yeah, we've been making some changes. Are Dippin' Dots still marketed as the ice cream of the future? Okay, yeah, I think I want these darkened slightly more. So let's go do that. Let's take a look at where this even is. Yeah, colors.gray. I think we need to make that dark gray or something like that. Purchased skill button. Purchased skill button. Here it is. All right, what's the difference between gray and dark gray in terms of actual like HTML colors here? Gray. There. I know alphabetical order. 80, 80, 80. And where's dark gray? There's dim gray. So it's only, yeah, it's slightly more. All right, let's try that. And then let's take a picture of this. And let's just do the town perks, I guess. So here it is with gray. Gray. And then let's go get it with dark gray. Not into hockey, but a buddy of mine has season tickets and regular tickets were cheap because it's the end of the season, so I figured I'd join him. All right, yeah, did you have fun? Isn't dim gray lighter than gray? I don't think so. I think it should be darker. Whoops, I forgot I could just press enter on that. Yeah, it's definitely darker. But also now maybe it's too dark. I guess we could use a shader on this. Alternatively, we could find something that's in between the two of those. It's 80 versus 69. So we can go kind of halfway in the middle and just do new color. No, not like that. Color dot from HTML. Yeah. All right. So what's halfway between 69 and 80? It technically goes up by 16, right? Let's just convert it. I'm not going to figure out the math for this. OX80. All right, so it is 23, 11 and a half. It's 116. So now 116 divided by 16 is 7.25. So it should be 747474. Yeah. There's probably a better way to do that. But I don't care. A ton of fun. Seattle Kraken. Really make the whole deep ocean monster theme. That's pretty cool. I don't know how I'd feel. No, this is too dark still. Why is that making such a big difference? Anyway, the rest of my sentence was, I don't know how I would feel going to a hockey game. Would I be bored or would I not be bored? Is this correct? Gray is 80, 80, 80. So if I set this to 80, 80, 80, then it should be exactly what it was. Why would lowering it by like, what am I even doing? 4%. I'm lowering it by like 4%. Why is it making such a big difference? No, this is, yeah, something's wrong here. Gray is not what I think it is. How is that possible? It's this number. What's this number? I gotta like bit shift this and figure this out. I don't want to do this. All right, so what? bit shift by 2 bytes, so it'd be 6, 4. I don't know. It's probably not how you even do this. I'm not gonna bother. What am I missing here? Then it says this is 80, 80, 80. Oh, I guess you know what we could do? We could just check what is OX 80, 80, 80 here. Oh no, but it starts with FF. Yeah, they're different numbers. What? What's going on? Would it have been that way if it's OX 80, 80, 80, FF? No, they're just different numbers. Okay. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's go to C# playground. Because I am a little bit perplexed by this. This should not be that difficult. I want to figure out color gray equals colors.gray. And now print out gray.r plus... Actually, how about we just start with that? Now, how do we import colors? Where do those come from? System.drawing or something? Oh, they're Godot colors. Oh my God, they're not even C# colors? Oh, no wonder. Oh. So what is this then? Named colors. I got to search for gray. Why are they different? And why is dim gray still a thing then? Oh. All right, where do we get Godot colors from then? Is there a darkened? There's a darkened. Okay, let's just do that. Gray.darkened by some amount. Darkened. All right, so let's do 0.2f. Are they X11 colors and not HTML colors? But X11 isn't an encoding, right? It's just the set of color names. Anyway, yeah, I did not realize I was looking at the wrong colors the whole time. Okay, that's a little bit more like what I want. So this is darkened by 20%. We need to spend our money somehow without spending it here. So how much did I have in the picture? I had 49. All right, we can easily spend 49. There. Now we save this, so I don't ever need to do that again. And then just take a picture of this. Yeah, I definitely want it darker. And maybe that's just a shade too dark. Where's the paintbrush? Here it is. All right, so this is 20% darker. And let's try 10%. Now I can just load from the save file. So this is 10%. I think 10% is looking pretty good. 10%. All right, so this is technically 0, I guess, if you want to call it that. This is 10%, and this is 20%. So they're just getting darker. I can try to move this a little bit closer to where it is. Yeah, there. Yeah, I think 10% is good. Maybe let's just go 12. I'm not even gonna run that. Okay, now we are technically darkening this every single time money changes. So let's save this off as a static color. Private, static, read only, darkened color. Now, why is that a problem? Does not exist in the... What? What's going on with that? What obvious mistake am I making here? Huh. It's weird that I don't... Oh, did the color just go away? Was that AI? Oh. Okay, never mind. I thought that was actually written. That wasn't written. That was AI that had written it, I guess. All right, obviously I know that it needs a type. I thought the type was there. All right, that's it. That's all I wanted to do. Let's run this again. Hey, Syntonic. I was just thinking about you. I'll be in, well, not exactly your neck of the woods, but kind of in your neck of the woods in October. And I wanted to potentially meet up. But it's going to be a heck of a trip to plan because I'm probably going to be going to like 3 different cities or something, at least 3. But how's it going, Syntonic? Okay, nice. Yeah, I almost wonder if we should. No, I think it's fine. Okay, so darken the modulate on unaffordable skills. All right, that's the only change we had here, right? Where did that go? Yeah, here. That's it. Okay, cool. So this looks good. This looks great. Thank you for doing this. I just darkened the gray color a bit. So merge that. Recently got my son into Mega Man X. He's been obsessed. It's been fun to play it again. Yeah, I think it's really cool experiencing a game through someone else's eyes. And unfortunately, I think that modern gamers cannot experience older games in the same way that a kid could experience them. And I don't know what your son has played. I know you mentioned you were getting him into Game Boy games, and I think you got him on Pokemon. And I think that progression is good. But if you were to start with something like whatever, like Super Mario Odyssey, and then be like, oh, hey, you should now play Super Mario Bros., they'd probably be like, this game sucks. Because it kind of does compare to Super Mario Odyssey, but it's what started it all. And if you didn't know any better, if you didn't have any other games to compare it to, you'd just say, yeah, this is a fun game. The most disappointing of all this for me is when I've shown people Super Metroid, I really like the game. I like the setting. I like the ambience of it all. But it's just not the kind of thing that abides by modern game design principles. So like when you get stuck in the game, you have a map. That's it. I don't think there's any like, hey, here's where you should go next, or there's none of that, right? So some people just get stuck for a while, and you have to explore and you have to pay close attention to like the hints and what the game's trying to teach you. And then the difficulty curve usually kind of spikes up at some point. A lot of old games have that difficulty curve, and I think some of them are still fun. It's just people aren't willing to put up with that sort of thing. Hey, slash G8. At the same time, if you start with great games, you set it up for disappointment to look backwards. Yeah. That's my whole point. Like, I think the old games are only fun for some people because they played them first. If you're experiencing all of this chronologically, then it's the natural progression. But yeah, try to take any gamer nowadays who has not played Super Metroid and who just generally likes modern games and have them play Super Metroid. And like the odds they enjoy it is not as high as if you had them play it when the game came out, I think. I tried to replay it and my wife made me stop because she found the music too spooky and I kept getting lost. Well, the music being spooky part wasn't pretty much intentional. I wouldn't exactly say spooky, but the getting lost part was not intentional, I think. And yeah, there are certain games that I've played a bunch of times, and if I were to play them again, I'd still forget exactly where to go. Okay, the next thing I wanted to do is look at this one. So Kevin made some changes here. The goal was to make innate skills not look like they're clickable as compared to the ones down here that are clickable. So he applied some different filters here. And in these, they're sort of desaturated. And then this was the shiny effect. I think we could put the shiny effect on the purchasable buttons. And I think that would potentially work. In fact, I think I want to try that. And then this was just a silly thing that he did, which is make them rainbowy. I should try to play it. I love the Game Boy Advance Metroid games. I tried Super Metroid once for like 15 minutes and the controls felt really bad. You know, a mutual acquaintance of ours whose name, well, I guess I don't need to tell you the whole name, but his first name is Nick. He did not like the default controls of Super Metroid and is like, this is why it's a bad game. And I'm like, really? You can rebind the controls to whatever you think is good. I mean, obviously, you can only use a Super Nintendo controller back in the day, but still, why ding the default controls when you could just go into a menu and within like 5 seconds change it? What about not making them raised or not showing them as square buttons, basically just the icons? So we currently We currently have the graphic as just one graphic. Like this is not a background for it. It's just the entire icon is that. What you're suggesting could potentially work, but I think it'd be easier for us to just do this on all of the purchasable buttons. Anyway, wait. So what I was trying to get at is, I think you told me about the controls many years ago, and I think you said it felt too floaty and the jumping was hard. And I think you'll probably still feel that same way, but it is a good game. So maybe it's worth giving it a shot. All right, so we would need to put this on our buttons, which we don't use a shader for right now. I think this will all be fine. And I think I want to do this. But I think I want to do it on the buttons you can afford. So how would this look? When you can't put a skill in something, because you've already gotten all the skill points, we wouldn't show that effect. Yeah, I think that's how it would work. I at least want to try it out. So I guess let's try that out. And I'm reading what I said to read, right? Yeah, I did. Okay, so I want to try the highlight shader on buttons that you can put points into. What are the conditions for showing it though? So like you have a point, and the skill can accept that point. So should you need a point? Like right now we have 0 skill points. Should all of these buttons have that highlight effect on them? Or should it only be when you have the skill point? I think if we make it so when you have the skill point, then it'll give you another hint that like you should be doing something here. So yeah, I think we should require you to have a skill point. And then we'd only highlight these 6 because you don't have them maxed. We would not highlight this one. But I don't think we're going to change the color of this or anything. It just won't have that shader. Yeah, I think it's good. A little more patient these days and when I look past some flaws. Excuse me, flaws? That game was flawless. No, I actually don't think that game was flawless, even though I really like it. I think the problem with that game is that people need to think of it as Space Zelda and not like Rudy Tooty McShooty Zelda. It very much had some like puzzle elements without ever expressing them as puzzles. Like you had to pay attention to things. And yeah, hey Bidar. Yeah, so I think you have a point and the skill can accept that point. All right, so let's go get this shader. Before we take this shader, let's look really quickly at how this is licensed. I think everything on this page is always MIT licensed. It's CC0 licensed. Yeah, nice. Okay. It's a vibe to describe this Metroid though. Yeah, I really like the game. Also, it's one of those things that's foundational, and it's always difficult when anything is foundational. Like if you take the original Star Wars, it was foundational. Then you watch every other movie and piece of media that was influenced by Star Wars, such that if you did not start with Star Wars and go back and watch it, you'd be like, this is just filled with tropes, and it is boring, and I can't watch it anymore. But it was not at the time, and Super Metroid was not at the time. Super Metroid was just one of those like, wow, a game with backtracking and mystery and good music design. Hey Smooth, it's going pretty well. How are you doing? All right, so we're going to save this in... We have some resources folder somewhere. Oh, you know what we can do? We can search for wherever I put the outline shader. Game Scenes Resource Shader. Okay, so Game Scenes Resource Shader. All right, and what is this called? Shine? We're going to call this Shine. All right, now we apply it to buttons that you can afford when you have a skill point. What's a good way of turning on or off a shader? One thing we could do is just change the shine color. I don't think you can turn the shader on or off unless you actually attach and detach it. Let's look at purchase skill button. This thing needs it? It's probably not this actually. It's probably the button beneath it. But I actually don't think maybe that it matters where I put this. Where'd the shine shader go? I saved it as CPP. I don't know how that happened. I guess it thought that was the file type. Does that work? No, that's fine. We'll put it on the icon. Quick load, shine. There it is. Nice. Okay. So we would either have or not have this. And one way we could choose to not have this is to just make it completely transparent. We can make this glow. Super bright red. Line width. Whoa. Angle. Speed. And weight cycles. It's nice that this is customizable. Could add a boolean and use it in the fragment. I'm trying to think of what I'd want to do. Do I want to add and remove this thing? I guess we shouldn't prematurely optimize. So yeah, we could just change the color of it. Didn't have a map feature. Yeah. That's definitely too much for modern gamers. I think having to map something yourself is something you would, now just expect a game to do. Relaxing on my well-earned 4-day weekend, debating at what point I should buy the Switch 2. It's now. I'm waiting a little bit because I want to see if there are any deals. I don't know what the launch titles are going to be. And the games that I'm interested by right now are Kirby Air Riders and the Donkey Kong game. What is it? Bonanza? DK Bonanza? These games both look great. Well, actually, I can't really say that about Kirby Air Riders. There's very little gameplay released, but I really love Kirby Air Ride, so I'm going to just trust that this is also going to be great. I think there's very little risk of that trust not paying off. Okay, so let's keep this over here. Let's revert all of this stuff, except for maybe the weight cycles. I think I want that to take longer. So this is it set to 2. Yeah, maybe a tiny bit faster, 1.75. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Do they all shimmer at the same time? Yeah, they should. I think they're using the built-in shader time. Yeah, they are. And I want that to be the case. Although maybe that won't look good. But we could randomize that a bit if we want to. All right, so next up, when you can afford a skill. Wait, no, we want to use this for all of the buttons. Oh, darn it. Well. Also, I probably shouldn't put this on every icon button, right? It's only skill buttons that are going to need this. Yeah, maybe I delete this. Well, let's leave it here for now. I'll write myself a note about this. Make sure we don't have this on every single icon button. It just needs to be dynamically added to skill and perk buttons. And I guess we start this as fully transparent. And then on something like this, if can afford, then we need to set a shader parameter of this. Set shader parameter. We don't have an outline shader on this thing. We need to get this. Yeah, we just need to get the shader material. Okay. This is for a perk though. And the color here is going to be colors. Wait, how do you do this? New color, color dot white 0.25. Something like that. All right, so now we need the shader material. For that, that's on purchase skill button, so we can get the icon. We should have the icon here. We don't have it there, but we have it here. And this is the texture rectangle. We could make this protected. I'm going to just cheat my way through this whole thing right now. I just want to see if this even looks good. So we're going to get the shader material from here. Shader material. Yeah, there it is. Material dot... What is material right now? It's just material. We know that it's a shader material though. Set shader parameter. Yeah, there we go. All right. Problem. Whoops. The problem is I'm doing this everywhere. And what's this called? Shine color. And that's if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, then let's set this back to 0, which I guess is just saying colors.transparent. All right, let's try that for now. It's the fastest possible way. It's Mario Kart and Donkey Kong. Just a bit odd because I'd love another 2D DK. I don't know if I'd even buy Mario Kart. I'm sure it's going to be a good game. I just don't know if I would enjoy it very much. But yeah, that Donkey Kong game looked fun. Wait for Smash to come out before I buy it. I feel like that's going to be a long time. All right, none of these are shimmering. Is this being done here? Set shader parameter. Yeah, this is working fine. Now what's this? This should be set, right? Yes. What am I missing then? What if we just didn't have any of this in here? I just turn all this off. Oh wait, no, it's set to transparent by default. So this won't show anything. Yeah, it's not going to show anything. We'd have to revert this. And then they should show in game. There's no way I could have messed this up, right? I don't think so. Yeah, so now it's showing in game. Yeah, but I don't want that. I want it to be off by default and for me to have to change this. Shine.gd shader. This has the shine color there. Yeah, I don't know why this wouldn't work then. What am I doing wrong? Huh. I think you'll like what I'm working on. Oh, Skeleseller might be on the Switch too eventually. Who knows? Whoa. Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, man, it'd be cool. So if we can get this and we can get some like arbitrary cool looking forest stuff, then we don't have to do as much. The thing I'm wondering about is we still have these terrain features, and this is a consideration here. We still have these terrain features that span a large area and you can't cut out an arbitrary chunk of it. So like if we got rid of this corner, it'll look like this doesn't connect anywhere. And I don't know what we're going to do about that. Will we manually add these in somehow? Yeah, anyway, I'm not sure. Hey, Mr. Dev, I played the demo this week. Do you care to hear my feedback? Yeah, of course. There's actually a button right in the game, provide feedback. If what you want to provide as feedback is, let's say, like a couple of sentences, feel free to just type it here. But if it's anything longer, I think providing it through the forum or typing that in Discord is probably best. And hey, Grace, it's going pretty well. We are currently working on getting these buttons to shine, but only when you can afford them and you have a skill point. What I was going to test here is what happens if we set this to 1. And what am I doing wrong? Open up the, oh, I can share the link with you. Sorry, I didn't mean to add a step to you. Let me do this URL opener. Yeah, here it is. A few different considerations to account for. Yeah. Okay. How am I still messing this up? That's the thing I don't get here. Can afford should be set to true for these things. Otherwise, the modulate wouldn't change. Which means that this is not actually modifying the right... Oh, I know what's going on. Yeah, I need to set that this is local to scene. There, that should fix it. Okay, no wonder. The code was fine the whole time. Well, now it's going to be a bright white line because I have the transparency set to 1, or the alpha set to 1. Yeah, okay. So now we can fix that by doing that. All right, cool. So let's just try this. Let's see if this looks good, because if it does, I can code it correctly. Lack of class selection at the start and the large cost to unlock skills that you have no idea if it's worthwhile. Yeah, the class selection thing, we have 7 adventurers in the game right now, and I think I'm gonna aim for 10 at launch. So we need to make sure that the first choices you can get are choices that will allow you to like work through the game. But then maybe we could allow some of the later choices to just be completely open to you. I'm still not sure exactly what I want to do there. Everyone with cleric works at the start. Sort of. Like the warrior level 1, I think is pretty bad. And I'm not sure if this will hold true for all the adventurers. Some of them take a lot longer than other ones. So I think it's important that we steer you a little bit at the beginning. So anyway, that I think might be a little bit harder to work with. But the cost to unlock skills, the way I've been kind of picturing this, and I'm not certain that we're going to do this, but what you played, consider to be the base game, and then imagine there are some challenge modes. So maybe there's like a farm only mode where you have like a 25 by 25 farm. You can't sell armor or weapons. You can sell crops instead. Like it would change some of the rules of the game. What I'm picturing is that the base game is sort of like an extended tutorial. And then we can start to introduce other modes. So maybe there's a challenge mode like I don't know, battle mode, where it's mostly about battling. And then maybe instead of unlocking skills randomly, you unlock characters and they come with the skills. So that's how I'd probably address that. But yeah, it's hard to say. I definitely get the concern that like, oh, I don't know which skills I'm getting. I'm hoping that by the end of the base game, you will have unlocked basically everything anyway, so that then you can just pick which ones are best for you. Yeah, we need to keep an eye on that. This is one of those things that's tough because like for the demo, yeah, it just seems like it's a bad decision, right? But for the final game, I think it could actually still work even with that decision in place. With that said, thank you for sharing the feedback. I am going to definitely keep an eye on these things. Yeah, when a second or whatever skill costs 100, that's a big investment. Yeah, but that's kind of the core of the game, is figuring out where to spend your money. Like there should be lots of things you want to spend it on. And having a skill that you want to spend it on, I think is just as good as having a perk you want to spend it on. I think we can tweak those costs a little bit, but I think the fact that they go up is important. You don't want to invest in an unknown. So part of the thing that we're solving with this, because I don't think this is obvious at all, when you level up right now and you get a random skill or something, you don't have a choice really. It's just put a point into this. What we originally had was we showed you most of the skills. And when you hired a new adventurer, and let's say they were like level 4 or 5, you had to read everything to figure out how to use them. So the very reason why we have randomly unlocked skills is to prevent overwhelming players and having them just be like, you know what, I'm not going to read this stuff. I'll just put a point there, there, and there. And I don't think it was working in the old way where we had the skills available mostly by default. So yeah, we need to get them somehow. And the only way to make it so that when you hire your 7th adventurer, you're not seeing all of the skills all at once is pretty much make the cost keep rising too. If you knew what you'd be unlocking, then you'd still have to read through everything to figure out what it is you wanted to unlock. So basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is the game is casual enough where I opted for the casual route for this. I fully understand the reason to go with a random approach. Yeah. And this is why I think at the end of the day, it's like your design philosophy definitely has to play into the decisions you make for this stuff. And casual / cozy is more at the heart of this than the strategy aspect. A lot of people have asked, like, look, you have this battle system that's pretty in depth. Why not put more strategy in? And I pretty much just said, like, that's not the kind of game we're aiming for here. And maybe by having a challenge mode that is like, what if you had, adventurer mode or something like that. And now when you hire an adventurer, it's not just mage versus cleric, but it's like mage with level 2 fireball and level 5 lightning versus a cleric with whatever level 5 healing and level 2 shield or something like that. I don't know. So you're not even investing in the skills. You're investing in the whole character. And maybe you have like 5 mages on your team and 2 clerics or something. Like we could totally change the rules of the game. And maybe that's where you start feeling like, all right, there's where the strategy I wanted comes in. Just needs to be a quarter of it if it's random and unknown. Yeah, if you're just talking about the balance can definitely be addressed. A lot of this was like, let's just code some numbers, and we didn't know how they'd end up. And for the demo, we are only expecting you to get like 2 to 3 skills per character anyway. But again, that's just for the demo. So a lot of this, yeah, can definitely change. Okay, so we got this working, right? I go over to here. We don't have the town hall. There it is. So is this a good effect to show that you can afford these skills? And I've got some thoughts here. One is, this is not the kind of thing that looks like it would shine like this. Like you'd expect to sort of shine on some sort of metallic object, but this is kind of like a papery background. So I almost wonder if all we should do is like just have the whole square pulse. Like the whole background gets a little bit brighter. Well, that's number one. Number two is that it's a little bit tough to know that this is indicating affordability, I guess. Can you make the paper look like it's waving? We could, yeah. There's a sway shader we could use. Some are very class defining. Oh, and that's the other problem I forgot to mention, is that some of the characters, some of the skills were designed for you having them all unlocked at first, and we just haven't changed them yet. And the cleric is probably the biggest example of that. Like there are some skills here that increase your damage dealt. Like that's probably not what you want for the cleric unless you've unlocked every skill and you decide, yes, I want them to do more damage. So yeah, we definitely need to approach that again. Do like a Pokemon Stadium thing where you have a big pool of adventures for rent and you got to beat the battle map without exhausting the pool. Yeah, I'm not sure how we would do that, because if you win a battle once, you'll probably win that battle all the time. So I guess it would just be be incredibly cautious about how you're playing. Whereas at least in Pokemon, there's more strategy that you're influencing turn to turn. Yeah, I'm not certain about this. Okay, well, we could try another effect here. Let's just modify the shine shader. So we'll do color.rgb plus. I just don't want this in a line. And I want the alpha to breathe here. So maybe we say something like mix the alpha with 0 based on sign time. And then just delete everything else. I don't know. What is that going to look like? I need to now make this the regular color. Yeah, so this is what I was picturing. I don't think it looks better. Maybe we could make it a little bit more subtle by doing that. So like here's the button, and to indicate that you can purchase it, it's slowly, maybe we make it like a little bit green. I don't know if that would look any better either. No, that doesn't look better. It looks sick. Yeah, I don't know what to do. So bad at this stuff. Maybe we also speed this up. And change that. Okay, this could work. If we just have this be a very subtle thing, I guess. Hey, Ramy. Hey, Mr. Halsey. Thanks for the raid. Welcome in, welcome in. How goes it? And is it a raid and run? Shout out to Mr. Halsey. Definitely give him a follow if you're not already following. And he tends to stream before I do, so if you want someone to keep you company before I'm online. It's going well. Good to hear. Give it a small outer glow. That could work. We made the scale tween a little larger and then back again. Yeah, we could do that too, although I don't think we do that from a shader. I wonder what this looks like in the game. Let's just try this. In fact, what we need to do if we're going to do this is get the color of this to be correct. What is it set to? 20. 20 out of, what, 255, right? Yeah. So 20 out of 255 is equal to 0.0784. So we put that in here. Yeah. And then take a look at that. It's playing with cursor and Claude. A lot of money. It performs much better. When you say performs, you're not talking about speed, right? You're talking about actual quality of suggestions. Okay, this isn't bad. It's not great yet. But yeah, you can see they're fading in and out a little bit when they're affordable. And there's got to be some way we can do this a little bit better. So maybe we just do it at the boundaries. Quality was very noticeable. Yeah. All right, cool. I don't think I noticed it. Well, this is just to indicate affordability, and you will definitely notice the difference in this one being super dark, right? So like this is just another little effect to make it clear that you can afford this thing. So it's okay if people don't notice it, but it should at least add something for the people who do notice it. And yes, I think doing just the borders would be good. So we can go modify this. And how would we do this? If how do we do this? We need the UVs in here, right? Yeah, it's just capital UV. All right, so if UV.x is less than 0.2, how about we don't hard code this? How about we say float edge equals 0.2, and then say if this is less than edge, or yeah, sure, that's exactly what I want. And then we put that there, and then run this. Max versus non-max for the same. Same as in the quality being noticeably better? Or are you saying that they're the same quality? Did I even do this? Yeah, except for now it looks like an obvious square that I'm drawing. Yeah, so we wanna cut that down a little bit. Maybe set the edge to like 0.07. What does this look like in the editor? Oh, it's getting the shadow. So we need the right and bottom edges to have a little bit more to it. Or not cover the shadow, I guess. So if they're transparent pixels, just don't do anything to them. In which case we probably do want this to be is less than edge times 2. And is, oh no, other way around. Minus edge times 2. And this is times 2 as well. And don't do this on the alpha. If shader, common shader functions. Texture, texture. Sampler 2D for texture. Yeah, this. I want this over here. So if this dot A is less than 0.25, then just move on. I guess do this here. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. I think I broke something. Yes, I definitely broke something. Where is that? Oh, we need the XY coordinate that I want. I guess the UVs. Isn't that pretty much just the fragment color anyway? Yeah, we can just do that then. If color.a. I gotta look at it over here. Okay, that's kind of close to what I was thinking. I'd still mess this up a bit. This is like I'll just call this malt. We'll set that there, and we'll change these. Output was much better for the same ask, tested in branches. Style of max was similar to the surrounding code, and it was much more precise in the changes they made. It's neat seeing this stuff. I think there are a lot of people out there who are judging their opinion of AI based on whatever like off-the-shelf thing that they're getting without maybe testing different models. I know there are people out there who are testing different models, but once this stuff gets more affordable, and instead of $2 signs, it's like 2-cent signs, then I think people's opinion will start to change on how AI is influencing their code. All right, yeah, I can't say I like this effect. It still looks boxy. We can curve the edges of this or make it more subtle and just fade the edges. In fact, we could have this taper off based on how close to the edge it is. But yeah, I wonder if this effect is even a good effect to have. I don't know. This is the kind of thing you can spend like 2 hours on and possibly not even end up with a better looking thing. Certainly not when you've got my UX skills. All right, so how's this look? It's subtle. And yeah, it looks too boxy. Makes me actually wonder, should we just make the outsides of it glow? For that, we would need to extend the selection. Although at that point, we could just use the outline shader. Like there wouldn't be a reason to do this. We could just load that in. Quick load, outline. And this won't look good in the editor. And now we can't do this. Let's try that though. Yeah, an outer glow. Well, I'm testing with an outline altogether right now. I like thoroughly broke this. But why? Because the icon shouldn't have a problem with using an atlas rectangle. It doesn't. Is it because it's not centered? I think it's because it's not centered. And then I guess we're not seeing the outline because it's a texture rectangle and not a sprite. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do anything about that for right now then. Man, it would be nice to have some indication though when you have a skill you can afford. Well, more so than what we already have, I guess. And especially, maybe we only do it for the skill buttons over here. We go back to the shine effect that we had. No, I still don't know if that would be good. Okay, there's one other thing we could potentially try here. The color used to draw the foreground of this is the same in all of these. And maybe we could just change that color using the shader. So that color is pretty close to this. So it should be on my clipboard now. Yeah, this color. So let's go back to the shine shader. Let's put this back on there. And now instead of doing this stuff with the edges here, let's check for some color that's close enough to this. So how would we do that? If color.rgb, there's a way to get the distance in a shader. I don't know how you do that. GLSL distance. It might just be called dist or distance. I don't know what. Yeah, it looks like it's distance. Okay, so if distance between that and this color, which we now need to convert into a into floats. So we got to do this divided by 255. So that's our target color. This is like our draw color, Vec3 or ink color, I guess. Yeah, sure. So the distance between the ink color and this is less than some threshold. Then we want to change that color a bit. And I liked this function that we had for this. We could actually hue shift it as well. Let's just see how this looks though. Okay, that's a little bit weird. It's very weird. I guess because of the anti-aliasing. Yeah, so we need a larger threshold here, less than 0.2. And it's still looking weird. 0.3. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, I don't know to what amount we'd have to allow this before it's going to find like everything. Now it's highlighting even the shadow. All right, now what if we changed it green instead? So we say color dot G equals mix the original color. Original green equals that. So mix the original color with 1 over time. Whoa. Okay. I messed this up, but that's a very interesting effect. I wonder what this looks like. Yeah, terrible. But I do kind of like that purple effect. Let's get a picture of just the purple. Yeah, here. It's like outlined just the edges, which is kind of cool. And even the outline on this shadow looks kind of cool too. So how'd I do that? It's turning purplish, which means it's me cutting out the green color. So maybe that's just me setting green to... Well, maybe what we should do is the other way around then, right? Maybe I set this to R. Or sorry, R to 0. Color.R equals 0. Color.B equals 0. This won't work because I'm not basing this on time. This is going to be set to black most of the time. But it's kind of like what I want. Hey, Sorrow. Who's the RGB Lord now? Still you. Yeah, like I said, I know this isn't perfect, but is this better? And I honestly don't know. We could also only do this for the shadow. Like that would give it a glow. Trying to picture this by ignoring the details in the middle and just looking at the border. I think it'd be very subtle. I don't know. I shouldn't do this. Yeah. Mac Studio or GMK Tech Evo X2. I don't know what that second one is. Is this... Whoa, hang on. Sorry, hang on. Is this what you're talking about here? Because I was going to say, these are in totally different price ranges. The Mac Studio is like 10 times the cost of this. Maybe you mean the Mac Mini? Because I was going to say, I think the Mac Mini is pretty good. And I don't think you really need to buy a Studio unless you probably like really need the performance boost. Oh, that's a pre-order fee? I don't know what site I'm on. Wait, this is the same site, but just the American one? Oh, there it is, $1,500. I don't know much about this. I mean, it looks like a small form factor, possibly. I mean, I see heat sinks, and it looks like that's a fan grill, so they might have fans on this. Yeah, it's hard to say. And then I guess the other consideration is this would not have Mac OS. I don't know how much that matters to you, but that's a personal preference. Yeah. Well, so the thing is, I think when you're talking about computers in sort of this price range, and if you're talking about it for productivity, I don't think the specs matter as much as people think. I think this is a hot take here, but like, I'm basically using a mega computer. The times I notice that I'm using a mega computer are when I'm doing incredibly heavy tasks like video exporting. And even then, it's like, I don't really mind just walking away from my computer and letting it take an extra couple minutes to finish. So will you notice the difference in your day-to-day work? And maybe will you notice it 3 years from now or something? Like, maybe. Also, is it currently a problem that people don't recognize they can afford an item? Like, was there feedback for this? Yeah, there are like 7 different feedback points that we've been trying to address. So one was that it wasn't clear. I'll show you what the old graphics look like, assuming I can find this. No, I don't think I have this open, do I? Well, anyway, our old graphics, it wasn't clear that something was even purchasable. Then the font color wasn't correct. Then it's possible you have a skill point and don't realize you can spend it. And then there's one other thing. Oh yeah, your innate skills don't look different from your regular skills. So there are a bunch of different little things we were trying to figure out with that. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to deal with this for right now. So the question is, should we do something very easy, like desaturate your innate skills? And even then, to me, I think the issue is that these look like they're disabled now, and not just that they're things you can't ever put points into. And we even have the text there, innate skills, which, does that have a hover over thing on it? No, it doesn't. We could put a tooltip here though, of like, these are skills you can't level up. Not that anyone would hover over it and find that out, but yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer for this is. And I wonder if changing the icon color could potentially work. Like, what if we hue shifted the whole thing? How do you even do that? Because isn't there some way to switch into like HSV and GLSL? Yeah, there is. And it's a function. I think I even wrote this down somewhere. Godot shaders. Yeah, here it is. Convert HSV to RGB. Reference. Isn't there another way around? Yes. Nice. Okay, so let's try that. All right, so I'm going to put these things up here. And then what we're going to get is, I guess we could just try changing the whole thing at first. So vec3 HSV equals this. And then we're going to change the hue slightly. .x, let's just do that, sure. And then let's set color.rgb equal to that. All right, what does this look like? All right, this looks like what Kevin had done. So now, how about we just change the hue once and not based on time? Okay, so all we've done is we've changed the color. It doesn't really look like paper anymore. And we don't have to change it so drastically. And we could lower the saturation on this too. So we could say S equals 0.3. In fact, let's just put these side by side so I can just see the changes every time I make a change here. Yeah, so what if we desaturate that by a lot? Do I need to click over here? I do. And what happens if I change this? Oh, whoops, I'm changing S. It's got to be X, or it's got to be Y. Yeah, now that'll desaturate it. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Now it looks like stone instead of paper. I guess that's sort of like what we had over here. Yeah. But what color, what changes the color of? Making them larger. I'm bad enough at this where I'm probably not gonna come up with anything all that great here. I just wanted to mess around with some things for a little bit. So this is the saturation of that. Yeah, we can make it look, I guess we don't even need to change the hue if we're gonna do this, right? Yeah. It just makes it bluer. And I guess we could find where green is on the spectrum. Yeah, there's kind of greenish now. And what happens if I set hsv.z equal to 1? What does this look like? And what does this look like? All right, bad. Maybe we multiply by something and see what that does. It darkens it. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do anything for this for right now. Yeah. So I messed around with this for a bit. I tried the shine shader, but I think the problem is that these icons have a paper aesthetic, and paper doesn't shine like that. It's also not totally clear that it indicates purchasability. I then started messing around with changing just the ink color. We ended up with something that was kind of decent. Or what else did we do? I don't know. I didn't really get anything I liked, huh? And in fact, if we just set this to 0, I think this is possibly the best one. I don't know. Or messing with HSV. My overall conclusion is that I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. Let's just move on to something else. Some other shape may be best. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna just skip this for now. I think just having things that you can't, well, I guess this will never have that problem, huh? Wait. Maybe we should affect that too then. Let me undo everything I've done. So all of this stuff, I think we can just delete, right? Yes. Okay, so let's revert all of that. And then launch the game again. I do like the changes to the perk button so that it's obvious when you can't afford them. I wonder if we should do the same with skills. When you don't have a skill point, it might not be clear. So like these, you can't afford these. It's pretty obvious. If you were to buy, let's say this, a bunch of other ones will turn dark. And I like that. So now when you open this UI, it's like, well, this one's lit up so you can afford that. I think that's fine. I wonder if we do the same thing over here where you've got a bunch of skills. When you don't have a point to spend, then we darken the other ones? No, that wouldn't make sense, would it? All right, I'm gonna stop. We're not gonna do anything about this anymore. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so where can I start addressing some changes? I put some more thought into the spirit color, by the way. We were designing a class on Wednesday, and we went all over the place with it. We started with like, okay, there's a spirit caller, and they start a battle with 3 spirits, and it was supposed to be like a tank spirit, a heal spirit, and a damage spirit. And then I thought about this more and more, and I'm like, man, if they're summoning a tank spirit, then that spirit's just going to die first always. So now if they have a revive ability, they're always just going to revive the tank one, because like the whole point is that's supposed to take damage, right? So it made me think, what if we just had the tankiness come from them existing? They're just 2 extra targets now in battle. So we just summon 2 spirits, and they're a healing one and a damage one. I'm not even sure if that's interesting. And I went all over the place with this. I thought of like, what if they were a shapeshifter and they shapeshifted into other adventurers that you had? So like if I start a battle over here, I've got a rogue, a mage, and a warrior. Imagine that I had the shapeshifter class and they turned into the mage for this battle. And then the next battle, they turned into the warrior and they could keep changing. And then they basically like duplicated an adventure that you had. And I thought, okay, that's a little bit weird. How would you control which one they change into? So what if the spirit caller was one that actually, it summons a copy of some of your adventurers. So like you'd have this mage, and then you have like a shadow mage thing that's there. It's like semi-transparent, and it's actually being controlled by your spirit caller. And after thinking about all that stuff, I'm like, I think this is way too complex for the game. So yeah, what if we just gave them like a heal spirit and a damage spirit? And even then, I kind of wonder, should there be two of them? Maybe this is more a healer class. We don't even necessarily have to have two different spirits. Could just be that you start with, or two different like classes of spirits. Could be that both have healing and damage. Yeah. Anyway, I haven't put more thought into that than what I just mentioned. Art list, upgrade signs, allow for incremental. Okay, so maybe this is something we should tackle. I should at least think about this. And yeah, getting ready for Next Fest. This is naturally happening. By the way, do we have a Next Fest command? Yeah. June 9th, everybody. June 9th in the Next Fest. All right, this has been very contentious on my mind. We have these signs for building stuff. I am totally fine with them. I think they should stay. I like them. They're working, and it populates this menu with your new buildings. However, we also have signs for upgrading stuff, and I do not think I like this idea. So now there's a sign in the world to tell you you can upgrade this thing. What I'm thinking we change this to is a perks board, and we've written a whole bunch of stuff about this, and I gotta go find out where that issue is. Do you have a generic buffs adventure? No, I don't think so. There are adventurers that have buffs, but they are scattered across the different adventurers, and they're not always buffing the whole party. Sometimes they're just buffing one adventurer. Because yeah, we could have a bard class, and the bard could have like buffs for your whole party. I'm not sure that this game has space for a totally support character, but it could be worth giving a shot. They're just zombies with a blanket over. So, I mean, I know this is a joke, but this is one of the risks, right? Is that we end up designing something that feels too similar to the Witch Doctor. And it's like, oh, do you really need a second summoner in the game? So we need them to feel different enough. All right, so this is the issue that we have here. And I probably have a bunch of text, yeah. All right, well, working on farming, I realize that we have two kinds of upgrades. Perks, which affect things like crops and the farm size. Normally, we do the first with the perk and the second with an upgrade sign. I didn't want there to be two methods. Then it made me think that maybe upgrade signs shouldn't exist. The buildings menu would only show new buildings. New buildings are exciting. The UI upgrading via a sign is worse. You have to click the sign, move the mouse in the middle of the screen. You can't see how much future upgrades will cost or what they'll give. So fix our navigation issue. Signs essentially only let us have one kind of upgrade. And downsides. Building with a sign lets you see the change on the overworld. That's kind of a minor downside. And if we were to consolidate many perks into a single perks board, it may not be obvious to you that you can upgrade a particular building. Probably should consolidate perks. Each shop can have its own board. Oh, it's just the problem that I have with this is that it doesn't feel like this is clearly the best thing to do. I'm not talking about best thing for now. Just like if this is the only decision we had to make in the game, should we keep update signs or not? Upgrade signs. Is the answer a resounding yes or a resounding no? Because I feel like we're kind of in the middle right now. So yeah, we would get rid of new buildings from here. We'd get rid of upgrades from here. You'd have to know how you upgrade your potion shop though. So I guess you'd have to know that it's in town perks. And then town perks might need different sections. Like the town and then each individual shop. Maybe it just shows shops in there. I got to think of what are all the upgrades that we're going to put into this. How to make this different enough from the Witch Doctor. I think it can be done. Yeah. I think it can be done as well. And I think if you just theme it as more of a healer class. So like the cleric is a healer and it's doing the healing. The spirit caller could be a healer and its spirits are doing the healing. And there could be some interplay there that's interesting. Make it a toggleable box. You mean collapsible? Like you want to be able to hide this? Because yeah, that could be done. Yeah, have it collapse. Yeah, that could be done, but that's not. it's sort of orthogonal to what I'm talking about here. It's mostly just like, should we even have upgrades in here? And if we don't have them in here, how do you get them? And I think through perks. So what are the perks we would upgrade? Where do upgrade signs exist in the game right now? And it's all of the shops for upgrading storage. It's the warehouse, and the vault doesn't really exist in the game right now, but it'd be the vault too. Is there anything else? I don't think so, but we can just build everything and find out. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, so we have 4 things. Oh, because I don't have the warehouse. Now we have 5 things. Yeah, so it's the 5 things I mentioned here. 3 shops, warehouse, and vault. Yeah, I think we get rid of this. My vote goes for section and town perks. Yeah. Yeah. And then I don't even know if we need the separate perks boards. I guess we just put them all into the town thing anyway. I wonder if you wouldn't necessarily know when you build the warehouse that you could get something else here. That's the other problem, I guess, is a downside with this. It may not be obvious that you even can upgrade something. E.g., you build the warehouse and get a new section in the town perks, but you would need to be told about that section, especially if it involves scrolling. I think shops should have their own separate upgrades, like able to increase the price of potions from the potion shop, make potions stack to 2. It could be done. That would probably start with the same thing that we're doing here. But again, I feel like it's important at any given time to like focus on the problem at hand. What you're saying is not necessarily bad of like, hey, make this menu collapsible, but it's not what I'm talking about right now. So it'd be like saying, hey, you should rebalance the cleric. It's like, that could be true, and maybe we need to, but that's definitely sidetracking me. So I do want to think about these perks. What's the issue you're looking at right now? I think it's a good question to ask. Like I said, because I tried introing this already, we have the available buildings menu, and it keeps track of new buildings and also upgrades. And I don't think upgrades should go in here anymore. So one of the problems if we were to remove it from here is we needed them to show somewhere else. The town perks could be the place to do that. But then how do you know that you've even got those new perks? And it could just be a user education thing. We could teach you when you first encounter this. Oh, wait. Oh, I wrote this down twice. Oh, wow. I guess it's not a new disadvantage. Yeah. So I wonder how we mitigate that. Because right now it's definitely obvious to players that they can upgrade this stuff. In fact, this sign is one of the first ones they find, which is why I find this to be problematic. Is like, I don't want you upgrading this at first. Excuse me, especially not when it costs 100. And we need to merge this with gating how we unlock perks in general. And I think part of that can be done on upgrading the town hall itself. And that's another question I need to answer. So questions for this. How would we let you upgrade the town hall? How would we incrementally unlock perks? This is more a question of how do we let the player know that they've unlocked more perks? And then any other considerations here? It's kind of it. The warehouse, we can add a perk board there that opens the town perks. For the shops, clicking the shop could open it. In any case, I think people peruse the perks boards anyway. Probably showing a notification when you unlock new perks could be enough. Yeah, we could have that. We could have a notification when you unlock a perk. It could be timed so that it goes away on its own. And then, yeah, do we want to add more perks boards to the shops or the warehouse? and proxy them to the town perks board. Unlocks should always exist unless I got them all. Well, the thing I was saying about unlocks existing or not is like at some point, right now, the way the game works is you start the game and you see these very blank plots of land here. So it's very obvious there's going to be something there. In the future, that's not going to be the case. So as far as you know, when you're playing this game for the first time, there's just a potion shop. So if we were to show you what the perks are that you could eventually unlock, like you open this up and it says weapon shop sale price, and you're like, what is, I don't even have the weapon shop. Like, I think we need to incrementally introduce those perks. And I wonder if that's if that's something that upgrading the town hall does for you. Is that what introduces new perks, or do they just show up when you get the corresponding building? I think they should probably just show up and we notify you that they're there. Yeah. Yeah, as far as putting them in the weapon shop, what I was thinking is I don't want there to be 10 different tabs up here. Like we have town, slime, fishing, farming, enchanter. I don't want there to be town and then like potion shop, armor shop, weapon shop, warehouse. So I think they're all going to go into town as like subsections. That doesn't preclude having a perks board here that just opens up the town perks and scrolls you to the right location. I think the question is, would people expect that perks board to be there? I guess it's not that hard to add in the future. So I guess we can just try it and see what we want. This is such a minimal impact to code that I don't think it matters one way or the other. It would just be another clickable thing that would scroll to a spot in the town perks. Whenever you unlock a new building, have a shady guy walk up that tells you there's a new upgrade available. Guy's name is Ramy. Ramy the rumor monger. Hey Goose, welcome in. Not a fan of the massive pop-up having everything. I mean, we still have categories for this stuff, but I think at some point we need to be mindful of, if you did have 10 tabs here, what does it look like when your screen looks like this? Are you like scrolling tabs on the side? Or do we have like subsections within subsections? So part of it depends on how many perks we're actually going to have. And I don't know what that's going to end up being. But right now we're talking about 4 of them. So adding 4 here with 2 kind of subsections, having like a shop subsection and maybe a warehouse subsection wouldn't be too bad. And we already do tell you, yeah, okay. Did I call you a shady guy? I said you could be that shady guy. You just need to believe. Change a building menu so it has a single title and not 3. Change anything that wasn't upgraded into a perk board. Perk board will all open the town perks tab and scroll to the right location. Any buildings you haven't unlocked wouldn't show in here. We don't even need to show the categories until you've unlocked them. And there would only need to be 2 categories: shops and warehouse. When unlocking a new building that has upgrades, show a time notification saying that there are more upgrades. Also update the greenness of the perks button and put the, I don't know how to type that dot character. Does this work? Yeah. And put the dot symbol in the tab titles accordingly. Probably should have more perks if we're going to do this. Vary the costs and bonuses. Sure. Consider leaving build an upgrade sign. Tackle 736. What is 736? Leveling up the town hall. Yeah. All right. This is a pretty well fleshed out issue. I guess the bigger question is, do we actually do this now? Or is there something more important? I don't even know if we need to think about things in terms of importance. For the next month and a half, we're pretty much just in polish the demo mode. So is some polish more important than other polish? Maybe, but it's all just probably going to get done in the next 50 days anyway. Okay, so we have an answer for this question. We don't have an answer for this question yet. What is written here? I think having a signpost makes the most sense. Yeah, but we'd be getting rid of signposts. With a perk, we'd be showing the perks UI. So you wouldn't see the new town hall get built. Well, this is a problem with the farm. Probably want consistency. All right, I don't have an answer to that question, but what if it is... What if it's a perk inside of town perks saying to level this thing up? And then we incrementally unlock these things? And then this needs to be related to the whole gating how we get town perks? Not that. We're gating perks. Here it is. 611. Beating a boss. I want you to upgrade this. I think I want it to be a manual action. I also want this to be here. Tackle this. All right, note this is very similar, or this is related to this issue. Other problems I see is that upgrades are expensive because they affect everything, like the stacking. Well, so the thing about stacking in particular and why I think this is separate is because stacking does many different things at once. It upgrades your warehouse, the shop's worker carry capacity, and customer buy ability, I guess. So it's like your warehouse now holds 2 items. So now workers drag 2 items at once to a shop, which holds the 2 items, and then customers buy the 2 items at once. If you only had shops get upgraded, so let's say like the potion shop can now stack to 2, then workers still need to drag 2 items there. Your warehouse wouldn't hold anymore. You can have all these things be separate upgrades, but it's like they don't really help you all that much until you have all of them. I guess the customer buy ability would probably just be inherent, maybe. I didn't realize it did all it did. Yeah, I almost think that it needs to come with some kind of downside. But anyway, my point was just this is why I think it's a separate issue and not related to like how are we upgrading buildings. And once we have the upgrade buildings thing, we can address that if we wanted to. We could say something like potions can now stack. Oh, I guess the other part of that, it wasn't just worker carry capacity. It's also like slime eat capacity, extractor fill capacity, that sort of thing. All right, so yeah, how do we want to allow for leveling up the town hall? So that these would just show up, but it could introduce new perks. Yeah, so, and I should probably write that down. Especially in that we would probably unlock new perks for the town hall automatically upon upgrading it. Yeah. Yeah, so it's how does the player upgrade the town hall? And I guess the options were pretty much like through a sign or through a perk or through some other means. But I'd want it to be manual so that the player knows that they've done this. Does it make sense as a perk? The perk would always stick around. I guess that's the other thing about signs. I want to write that down. I don't even know where that went. I think I closed it accidentally. Here it is. I should put this on my to-do list. Perks are persistent meaning that once you've unlocked the perk, it shows forever. We may want, I guess in some cases that's fine, but sometimes we don't need you to see the signpost ever again. I don't know. It's weird. When you expand this game past the demo, what skills? Just upgrade levels? Having 9 perks on the page is fine. The post demo stuff is going to be more of pretty much everything. So like adventurers, bosses, locations, items, yeah, probably perks. And eventually game modes. I talked about the challenge mode thing. And then I mean, more than just that, things like polish or localization or controller support maybe. I mean, some of this stuff can be solved in ways that are not terribly difficult to do. Like you can have different sections within here and just have like a little expando and just let you collapse town perks so these 9 icons turn into 0. And yeah, maybe that's what we do, maybe not. All right, through a sign, through a perk, through some other means. So if it's a perk, then it's the kind of thing that would stick around forever. I think this actually helps with education, since the player can know what they upgraded. And we have 3 levels. In fact, maybe it's better to think about this in terms of what would players have access to from the beginning. And definitely auto battling. I think that's pretty important. And then probably like we pick another 2 or 3 of these, maybe max customers and maybe customer speed. Yeah, max customers, customer speed. And then the town hall level itself. I don't know what we call that, but yeah, this would have 3 levels and start at level 1. And then level 2 would unlock another few perks. Maybe, I don't know what they would be. Maybe like the quick move menu. Worker speed. What else do we have? Shiny loot. Yeah, and then level 3 would unlock whatever else we have. Like item stacking. Item types or just different types of swords? Yeah, like different types of swords, that sort of thing. I don't like having the massive menu system because it feels so impersonal. You can basically beat this game without ever looking at the town. Yeah, but that's kind of core to any automated game, right? You just deal with the bits of the automation that you're changing, and then if you wanted to, you could just look away for the whole time. I mean, in that case, it's not too dissimilar from having a game that you like you could pretty much play Pokemon where you're just holding like up and then tapping A bunch of times to win battles. You don't even really need to watch the game. But I think all of this is it's part of game design as a larger discussion, and I think there's only one real question I care about in the end, which is like, are players having fun? And really what this plays into is, are people buying the game, I guess. But I actually really care about this one more than I care about the second one, because I think the second one follows from the first one. So it's like, if you had fun playing the game and you felt it was impersonal, it doesn't really matter, right? You had fun. So like, I think enough people are enjoying the game as it is where I think this is fine. So I'm not really concerned about like, look, there are menus for things. I don't know. Some people like doing things through the overworld. Some people like doing them through menus. And we'll still have the buildings. So yeah, I'm leaning toward a town perk. And then what do we have here? Yeah, e.g. level 1 would have whatever I wrote down over here, which I just closed out of. Okay, fine. So auto battling, max customers, maybe customer speed. Level 2 would have something like worker speed, shiny loot, quick move menu. Level 3 would have something like item stacking and whatever else I didn't type into here. I think that's it because I don't think the boss thing is going to be there. And other stuff we may add later. If we did have a sign here to indicate that you could upgrade this, how would a player find it? I guess it would be through buildings, and the only upgrade you'd see is for the town hall at that point. Yeah. I don't think that's better. I think just having a perk in here is probably fine. Now, there's one other potential question we have with this, which is, do we ever change the max level of a perk based on, well, yeah, based on what you have unlocked? Unlocking Town Hall level 2 allows you to get even more max customers. I think that would be good. We need to just make it clear that that's what happens. Like this could start at level 0 and be out of level 2. And then you upgrade this and it can go up to level 4 now. How often would we end up doing something like that? It's basically like saying there are prerequisites for perks. And in fact, that's maybe how we could code this. Okay, let me take a look at something. What if we look at max customers and we set the max level of this to 2? And I'm going to take a picture of this right now so I don't lose this. And we're going to go launch the game again. I'll put this in GIMP while we're waiting. So now what's going to happen to the UI? It just doesn't let you go beyond level 2, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So it still shows you the tooltip. That's kind of interesting. I guess we could always stop you from showing all of the tooltip based on how many levels you've unlocked. I think that would be easy enough to do. Yeah, I think it's fine. Then the question is, do we want to do this? And I guess we can always make this decision later. Would it really matter though? Like, what's the difference here? We have Town Hall level 1. If suppose we had this system, we'd have like a max level of 2 for some perk. And in system A, we would say you can't go beyond 2 until you get the next Town Hall level. Or until, I'll just say until you level up. Or in system B would be you can go beyond 2 at any point. And the only difference here is that this means you need to spend money on leveling up first. So it's sort of like just saying that that first time you get that perk, you have pretty intense costs associated with it. I'm actually not certain that this is even the best idea then, because the other problem here is that you're spending a bunch of money on the capability of doing something, but you don't actually do that thing yet. If you're paying for this at all, then it means you're paying for the ability to do something, but it's not actually giving you any benefit at first. Which suggests that there should maybe be a different way of unlocking that altogether. Because that's the other thing, I guess, is in that tooltip, we could tell you like, hey, you'll get some new perks, but you won't know what those perks, what impact they'll have, or how much they're going to cost. And that might feel bad. Or we gate it based on, okay, that's another thing we could do. we could have it cost a nominal amount and just only show that perk once you've beaten a certain boss. Yeah, this route would work. This is kind of what we do with every other building. Like the farm costs 25 gold. That's not a lot. In fact, I think the most expensive building is the enchanter, and that's only 100. It's not too crazy. I don't remember how much the fishing pond costs, but I don't think that's very much either. 25, yeah, they're like nothing. These are 40. Oh, that's 75. Huh? I don't remember that, but okay. That's 30. This one's 10. Yeah, so this is the most expensive one then at 100. Yeah, so we could just have the next town hall level cost you like 50 or 100 or whatever's kind of reasonable at that point. And it's more about you upgrading your town. Again, though, you need to know that this thing exists. And we're already running into that a little bit in the game. Already a bit of a problem with players knowing about new buildings. So I think they're randomly getting new perks is going to feel confusing as well. Wild idea. What if we didn't have signs at all? I don't think I like that. I think I like having the ability to see them in the world for those. Because if there weren't signs and you need some other way of building these things, and that means that there'd be a perk board somewhere. Or I guess like a different buildings menu. I guess it'd be something like this. To the point where this is fine. Yeah. I don't think we need to change this. Okay, just thought I'd revisit that for a second. So the current proposal is basically we start you with only a few of these perks. So like there are 3 by default. Or 4, I guess. 3 of these and then 1 that says like level up your town hall. And maybe the last one only shows up once you've beaten a certain boss. And then we indicate that you can afford it, you buy it, and now we unlock another 3 perks. I think if we're going to do this, we're going to get into different conditions for getting perks. Have an up arrow appear on the sign outside the door. Sorry, this is about building upgrades. Well, the building upgrades are probably getting changed into perks. But there's one other problem I was thinking about, which is we'll probably have different unlock conditions for perks. Even with the current plan, it would be when you unlock a... Well, I guess it's only when you unlock a building. Could change in the future. No, it's not just when you unlock a building. There would already be 2 ways. When you unlock a building. What happened? Did it just freeze? What was that? Unlock a building and when you beat a boss? Leveling the town hall. Okay, there's one other thing that I haven't explored here, which is we could use the tavern for this. Quests could give you more workers or could unlock new buildings. Or could level up the town hall. The only issue there is that people don't read quests and wouldn't know what the reward is going to be ahead of time. But is that really... there's an education problem here no matter what. And yeah, I could see the town hall... Or sorry, I could see the tavern being the way that you do this. So at the top it says quest right now, but it could say recruitment quest versus like town upgrade quest. And we could, of course, tell you what the reward is here too. Have a shady guy come up to you in the tavern. Maybe he really wants a shady guy in the game. Need to change the description of the tavern to say that this is where you get quests. not necessarily that this is how you get more workers. What else do we have to do? Probably also change quest titles to say recruitment quest versus town upgrade quest. Is it better if we did that though? So here it says a bard died and they can join your workforce. So you accept it, you bring them 12 potions, you win, you get another worker. There's Barry the Skeleton. Then the next one you get maybe says town upgrade quest. And this one, yeah, takes some stuff. But then upgrades your town hall when you complete it. Okay, so what's nice about this? Nice thing about using a quest is that it automatically requires you to have gotten to a certain location. Since we pick the items that it needs. So you don't need to understand that new mechanic. You'd already understand it. And it wouldn't take up a perk slot, I guess. Take up a perk slot. Is there anything else that's nice about that? And I guess it wouldn't just be an outright purchase. Which is not necessarily nice. It's just neutral. It just feels different to collect items than it does to just pay whatever these items would have cost. So in this case, it'd be 50 gold and 60 gold. Surprised these cost the same amount. But yeah, it's 110 gold you're passing up. Possibly more depending on the multipliers that you might have. But 110 gold you're passing up. So it's like saying, hey, to unlock the next town hall, it's 110 gold. But you don't just give it the gold. You go find those items, which takes a certain amount of time and requires you to change your actions a little bit. It also lets us add more quests to the tavern. I think I'm leaning toward this now. All right, pros and cons of quests. Maybe just say with pros of quests. Wouldn't be an outright purchase. Gives more use for the tavern. Cons of quests. Requires us to explain the tavern a little bit more. And make it clear that you have different kinds of quests. And I have no other plan for this beyond hiring workers and getting the new town hall. Melmsy, thanks for the resub. The cool emote. Pride party. I like it. Well, it does kind of look like a seashell, doesn't it? But yeah, neat. Can everyone use that? Oh, yeah. Imagine if you pick up a seashell from the beach and you're like, does this sound like the ocean? And the streamer just goes off into your ear. How's it going, Melmsy? All right, it sets a precedent of doing this for anything unique in the game. Again, this is kind of just neutral. I shouldn't say these are pros. And even this is kind of just neutral. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward them being pros. This is definitely a pro, so we don't need to teach you anything else. This is better than having the town hall perk become available after beating a boss. In fact, we could use this for letting you unlock new abilities or new buildings. instead of beating the ogre and getting access to, what do you get access to? The farm, the tavern. Oh, I guess the tavern has to show up that way. Okay, never mind. There's one other one too. The farm, the armor shop, etc. We could have it be through a quest. But then how do you get the tavern? Hey, Pressel. Just got done with work, edited some video stuff for fun. I'm gonna vibe and play Gas Station Simulator. Seriously? Gas Station Simulator, this is a game now? It's a fun game. That's got a lot of reviews. Oh my goodness. This is like 1 million sales, right? Wow, nuts. That's exactly what I would expect. It's one of the better ones. Well, yeah, the reviews definitely make it seem like it'd be better than the other ones. But wow. Yeah, the last simulator game I played that was trying to be very close to real life was, or close enough, it's Power Washing Simulator. And the multiplayer was kind of busted on that. So like the host of the game had everything much cleaner than we had it, and we couldn't tell what was dirty in the game anymore. Actually, it was kind of like a game-breaking bug. There's lock picking. Oh god. Soon enough you'll be able to cast a fireball on the cars you don't want. Couldn't put much time in without getting bored with the repetition. Yeah, and I gotta say, I feel, and this is not me throwing shade at anyone, I feel like the simulator games are semi-intentionally boring. Like the things they're simulating are not fun things, right? Like lawn mowing simulator, power washing, they're chores and they're jobs. And yet I know people enjoy those. But I think the monotony is part of what is appealing. I think it's also part of why Minecraft is appealing. Although Minecraft is a more fantastical world. But yeah, a lot of at least adventure mode, and I actually guess creative mode, is just placing and replacing blocks. That's it. I don't go 30 minutes without some upgrade or new unlock. Yeah, it's probably going to impact the meta game of other simulation games by showing like, hey, here's how we got so many sales. Like, look, you're constantly doing something. Because I read about some of these. There was some game that came out where you're running an arcade, I think, but you're really like doing laundry and stuff. And people were talking about how once you've played this for an hour, you've pretty much seen the whole game. Very bizarre. All right, so we'd only have this for the town hall. I guess we're not saying it's for building things, it's for upgrading things. Yeah, so I guess this would just be for upgrading existing buildings. And I don't see this happening with more than the town hall anyway. I guess we could always just theme it as a perk for now and make this decision later. I wonder if you play as a skeleton and sell things. Oh yeah, Skeleseller Simulator. I heard of that game. Should be pretty good. I hear there's a rap about it. Hey, Push Toy. Highly interactive world. You can destroy and build anything. Oh yeah. And I get the appeal of Minecraft. That's not one of the games where I feel like, oh, I don't get why people think this is fun. I get the appeal of Minecraft. I just, whenever I'm playing Minecraft, or at least adventure mode, there's long chunks of time where the screen is totally dark and I'm like drilling into a stone wall to try to find diamonds. That's a decent chunk of the gameplay when I played Minecraft, and I liked it well enough. All right, enjoy your game, Melmsy. Okay, I think we've answered all the questions. Have we not answered something? Yeah, the only question we haven't answered. So the answer to this was through a perk, yeah. The only question we haven't answered is, do we do this now or is there something more important? And I had some priorities listed here. I guess there were these ones. Make skill buttons look better. Now until April 18th. Why did I say April 18th? Oh, because that's when I was planning on launching the demo. I gotta look through the issues and see what else I want to do. But yeah, I think we can change this now. I don't think we'll get it done in the morning, and I want to work on the intro later. And new enchanter graphics. We can do that on Monday. I'll write that down. That should be a fun task. Oh, but we can't leave it in an unfinished state because Wednesday is going to be the Twitch front page thing. I'll have to think about that. Could start working on the new enchanter. Just bump this down to there. I haven't seen the Minecraft movie. I haven't. Have you, maybe? Do I need Jack Black in my multiplayer game? And if I don't, then I'm doing it wrong. Oh, we should probably fix this bug too. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Only because I want to work on the intro in the afternoon and because we only have like an hour and a half, I think we're going to hold off on the perks thing, but I think it's something I should be tackling pretty soon. You have? That was set up by a friend to get me to see it. Did you enjoy it? I think kids have been enjoying it. And that's not to say adults can't, but the ratings are not great to indicate that they probably would. All right, let's go figure out this bug. Yeah, let's close out of this stuff. I'll do this task a little bit later. It's not so game changing that I think I need to do it now. Took 19 days of gameplay time. Did you give up on Stardew? All right, active abilities are being granted regardless of their level. So when we make a battler, we're just picking which abilities they have unlocked. Is that why? Why would that make any sense though? Was this, I wonder if this was always a bug or if it's a bug only as of getting the new code. Here it is. Okay, well that's the problem right there. All right, so where do we fix this? Here it is, create player battlers. We go through the adventurers. So we only want to copy abilities that are greater than level 0. And then we should be fine. This is just a collection. And then we clone them anyway. Yeah. Yeah, okay, this should be pretty easy. So is there like a get abilities in here? No, there's just abilities. I think we want to make something then to get this. Public collection, base ability, get abilities. I'm just not even gonna write a function for this. We only really need it here, so let's just write it here. So what is this thing? It's a collection of base abilities. Collection, base ability, abilities, greater, abilities. What's the most succinct way to say at least level 1? I'll just write it out. All right, so now this is a collection of all the abilities that we had here, dot where, and then this needs to get it from the abilities component. This doesn't know what it is. Get level of ability. Get level of ability. What's that do? Get ability. So we need to... No, we should just be able to get the level of this thing. Cannot implicitly convert an I enumerable to collection. There is no to collection. Okay, fine. Well, then let's just use the spread syntax. All right, now we use this down here. And that should do it. I guess the ability is higher than 0. And maybe we even write level 0. All All right, that should fix the problem. Let's go try this out. It's parked for now, but I was mostly done with it. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Was it a good movie? No. Definitely walked away. It was good and easy laugh, entertaining enough. Yeah, there are very few movies I think I'd ever see in the theaters where I don't know if I've ever seen a movie in the theater more than once. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever done that, but I think there are very few movies I ever would have done that with. If you have if you have it on a streaming service, there are definitely movies I've watched more than once. But yeah, I probably wouldn't ever go do that. Yeah. Okay, so there were two characters this could happen with. It was the mage and the archer. So let's just put the mage into a battle, and as long as they only use fire and lightning, then we're fine. Because the problem was they were also using ice and stalagmite. There's fire, there's lightning, there's fire. Yeah, they're not using anything else now. Okay, so that worked. Now let's give them ice. And they should use that. So we should see a blue projectile shoot out of them. Yeah, there it was. It was kind of stacked on top of the fireball just because of timing. It did it again. That's a random chance. And it just happened to do it twice in a row. I'm not testing anything right now. Yeah, I just want to see the ice blast. Okay, cool. So then let's get rid of that and let's put the point in this stalagmite and rerun that battle. So now we should see an earth shard come out of the ground. Yep, there it is. Nice. All right, cool. Looks like it's working. And then we'll test the archer as well. The archer should only shoot a purple arrow and a white arrow. I don't know. It should only shoot two different colors. Yeah, purple and white, white, purple, white, purple, white, purple. Yeah, it's never shooting red ones. But then we get a point into quick shot, and now it should shoot a red arrow as well. Yep, there was the red one. All right, cool. Bug fixed. That was easy. Okay, fix bug with battler abilities. We were copying every ability, even if it was level 0. This is because we now track level 0. Well, yeah. This only affected the mage and archer, which would use their new active skills. That's not actually even true, is it? What I just said only affected the mage and archer. It might be true. Yeah, it might be true. I'll just write I think. I think this only affected the mage and the archer, which would use their active skills as long as they were unlocked. But even if you hadn't put a point in. Done. All right, I guess let's just go through and fix some small bugs then for the rest of the morning. I got a coupon in the mail. This shows my address, so I can't actually show you this. But they received 2 cinema passes on us. So, when does this expire? June 30th. Yeah. So I don't know why they did this promotion. I don't know if it's a new theater or what. But yeah, maybe we'll go see a movie. Because it's been over an hour. I just stopped taking breaks at a certain amount of time. Yeah. All right. Perk wording consistent. Consider that instead of highlighting buttons in town menu green, we should show a number in the corner. What do you have to do to get them? The tickets? I don't think there's anything I have to do. There's just some barcodes on the back. Stuff worth working on, 861. All right, let's take a look at this. It's not like I have any better idea of what I should be doing here. All right, it seems to play when I spend enough money to drop below the shop's requirement. Doesn't always seem to trigger this, but it does in the beginning of the video when building the vault. Play sound doesn't break. All right, let's take a look. I wonder who's paying who. Yeah, I don't know. All right, we got to turn on sound for this. Yeah, so it happens when you click the repeat button. Let's go find out why. I gotta clean up this list. It's such a mess. Happens when you click the repeat button for a battle. It's not disabled, right? Where is this thing? End battle screen. Repeat battle button. Press repeat battle. On repeat battle. Request repeat battle. Where does the sound get played? Maybe it's on the button itself? It probably is. What is that button then? End battle screen. Repeat battle button. Here it is. So what is this? It is an icon button. And what is an icon button? It is a button with custom children. And does this automatically add sounds to it? I don't think this does, but I think we have something in town that runs on buttons to add sounds. Yeah. Set town sound system for anything that needs it. All right, let's go put a breakpoint and play sound. Or no, not even there. We'll put it here. But I want to edit the breakpoint and make it only be when the sound is that bonk sound. So what is that bonk sound? UI decline. Is that what we were hearing? It's decline 22.wave. Reveal. Assets, audio, sounds, UI. This one. Yes, it is that sound. Okay, so yeah, let's just put a breakpoint there when this is equal to this. Edit sound ID equals that. All right, now we run this. And we should hear that. Well, we shouldn't hear anything. Actually, it's going to break in, but there we go. Perfect. Okay, so why is this happening? Call stack is add button sounds on press, line 61. Button sounds to parent 61. Here it is. If the parent is disabled. Why would it be disabled? Maybe because of the order of when this happens? Yeah, maybe. That means that something's disabling the button, right? And I guess something is. So what makes that... What disables that? Repeat battle. Repeat battle button. Here it is. Set is walking to portal. Okay, that would do it. But then this needs to happen in a different order from what I expect it to be. So I click this. And yeah, set is walking to portal is called immediately. So where does that come from? Walk to portal. On request repeat. On repeat battle. This can't be right, can it? Button with custom children invokes the pressed event. And then this on pressed gets called somewhere after all of that. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Yeah, I think it's just the order of the listeners that they're added. How would we fix that though? I don't think you have a good way to get the order here. I think it's maybe how we set this up. Although maybe that's not possible for us to do that. We get the parent, we set up its pressed thing here. This is eventually coming from icon button. Oh, so we must have a custom script on this thing then, right? Right here. It's icon button. Does icon button inherit from something that adds? No, it doesn't. What? Okay, hold on. Go back to this stack trace then. Add button sounds to parent. Where does this thing exist in the scene hierarchy? Button supporting all clicks? No, it's not that. Oh, they're not guaranteed to happen anyway. Okay, so then we'd have a bigger problem here. Let's go look this up really fast. C# event ordering. Order of... They're executing the order they're registered. However, this is an implementation detail. Wouldn't rely on this behavior in future versions. Delegate class. An invocation list can contain duplicate methods. During an invocation, methods are invoked in the order in which they appear in the invocation list. Is this considered a spec, or is this considered to be a reflection of the current behavior? Because that would change how we end up working around this bug. Or working with this bug. Because we could make it so that there's just one listener, maybe. Or wait a frame or something for this. But if we can rely on this order, then we could just change the order that we're registering them in. I'm just still not certain where this is even being used. So let's open this up. Let's delete this stuff. Oh, there it is, icon button. Add child. So it's adding a node that's going to add this to the parent. And we call the base ready on this. Base being button with custom children, which presumably sets up the pressed event. Yeah, it does. Okay, so we would just put this in the other order. And then it should fix it. Does it say the same if you look at that? It probably shouldn't, because this comment was from 2009. And so was this one. So yeah, if we go back to .NET, I don't know, even 6, should probably say the same thing. Yeah, during an invocation, methods are invoked in the order in which they appear. This was .NET 6. I don't know when .NET 6 was, but yeah, it should be the same. All right, so now what's the problem with this? Game object not set to an instance of an object. Null reference exception. Because the button isn't set until we get to base ready. How fun. Okay, fine. So we have no setter for this. We'd have to say like button equals this and then set this here. And then I'll just write a comment why we're doing this. Button supporting all clicks. So add the sounds, Add a handler for sounds first, so that we don't always play the bonk sound when a button becomes disabled after clicking it. All right, let's try that. What? Didn't even play a sound. Oh, wait, it did. It did. Yeah, it's fixed. All right, so it should be fixed for everything, but I don't know where else we could repro this. So I might need to back out of the change to figure it out. So I'm just going to click the build button on a bunch of stuff. This is trying to play the bonk sound. Oh, darn it. Then it's broken still. Yeah. Oh, because that's on an icon button. Oh, fine. So then it's broken in multiple different places. I guess we don't need to remove the breakpoint. Let's just find out what the repro for that is. It's probably the same general fix. So I built what? The warehouse and then the armor shop. I think that was enough to get it to happen. Where, whatever, I'll just click it. Yeah, that does it. Okay. Build warehouse armor shop to repro this. Okay, why might you be happening? That's coming from a dialogue. A dialogue box adds its own buttons itself. Yeah. So we search for this dot add. Oh, there's no dot add. Maybe an equals? There's no equals. How is there no add in here? Oh, it's add child. Okay, sure. And then set based on an ID. That's fine. We set up the button pressed here. Add sounds, create button. Interesting. What's broken with this? This doesn't have a script? No, there's the script. Add button sounds apparent. Yeah, this gets called here. And we add the on press for that. Oh, so this isn't added to the scene at the right time, is it? It's added the options container, but then the options container must not be in the scene. Maybe it is, and maybe it's just this order. Let's try that. Press won't be set until it's ready next frame. Okay, then yeah, this won't fix this. Might need to think of a better solution for this. If what Kevin says is true, this wouldn't have fixed anything, so... Oh, it did fix it. Oh, so then the options container does exist. That's convenient. Set data is only once this thing is already in the scene tree. Yeah, because of the add child right here. And the dialogue is always in the scene tree. Okay. Well, that was convenient. Glad that worked. Add this before setting listening for pressed. So that I should probably just put this on add buttons to parent. Note, make sure that the ready function for this class is called before adding handlers for pressed. I don't think that's going to work. This thing I just wrote here. No, yeah, it doesn't. It's somewhere else. Well, like button.pressed. Oh God, come on. Where does this thing exist? Parent is a base button.pressed. There we go. Ready's called an add child, yeah. But the only reason that actually calls ready is because the parent is already in the scene tree. Add child on its own only calls ready in that case. If you have an orphan node, it won't call ready yet. Hey, Matt. All right, so make sure the ready function for this class is called before adding handlers for pressed. Why is this happening? If you don't do this, then we'll base which sound to play. Then the button may become disabled before we decide which sound to play. And you'll play the bonk sound even when the button should work. Was enabled to begin with. Yeah, okay. Now what? Now we gotta go fix up the comments for this stuff. Like see comment on add button sounds to parent. See the class level comment for this. Why we add this first. And I kind of want to write something similar for the other place where we put this, which was here. This in particular, and it's ready. No, wait, what? Why we call add child first. Yeah. Good. So could this be simplified? What are we doing exactly? Icon button happens to add this thing, but it derives from a class that doesn't happen to add sounds. We could have some kind of Boolean saying that the parent should do it. Is that smart? I don't think that's smart. Because then we'd get the button in only one spot. And we'd call this in the parent. This is only needed by icon buttons. So there'd probably be an if statement for this. All right, I gotta stop the sound from playing. It would make this clearer, I think. But I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. Currently learning how to use meshes and bones to animate 2D images instead of sprite sheets. I think using bone-based animation for 2D images makes sense when you have lots of sprites. And that the sprite-based animation would be very annoying or complex to do. Like an arm swinging a sword. If you just have an arm graphic and you can like render the bones just like how a person would swing a sword, could make it easier. Okay, well, I guess that fixes the bugs, right? Yeah. There could potentially be more of these bugs. How do we even find them? It'd be potentially any button that intersects with this code, which is what? Dialogue and icon. Oh, that's it. I guess we fixed them then. All right. Yeah, let's run it. Let's delete our breakpoint. Don't want to pixel art style too. Yeah. Yeah. And there are probably ways to make it a little bit easier to work with. Are you using the animation player in Godot? Or are you even using Godot for this? Because I was going to say Unity probably has some equivalent, but in Godot you could have the animation player and maybe kind of get things working in the editor directly. All right, so we repro this last time like this. Played the right sound. That played the right sound. Can we even hear the bonk sound on something? How do we do that? Yeah, you can't even click this. I don't know what that's for. Maybe this? No. No? What? How do you ever even trigger this? Because if a button is disabled, then you would never play this sound. I think this code might be bad. Because I don't know how this is possible. This is on pressed. So there needs to be a parent that when disabled still triggers the pressed event. We probably have some code for that somewhere, but I think that on its own might be the problem. And then I can just get rid of the code that I had. All right, what's this? This checks to see if it's not disabled. Yeah, I don't think this is possible. Allow right click while disabled. What sets that? One of the cheat buttons, right? Yeah, unlock skill button. Unlock skill button. So this. Yeah, it doesn't make a sound at all. Hey, Batman, how you doing? Unity looked at Spine 2D, but it's too expensive with the runtime licensing fees. Using GIMP to prep the images and split them into layers, then everything gets wired up in Unity. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that sounds painful. Hopefully there's some way to mitigate the work caused by ever having to change something. I guess it'd have to be putting things into script somehow. And having some test scene that you run rather than checking stuff in the editor. Okay, well, this is unfortunate. But yeah, I think the better way to solve this is to just get rid of this. Unless maybe this counts? What does this do? That's not a button, though. Never change it. Same graphics forever. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. I think this is dumb. I think I want to check in what I've done and then undo it immediately. But why even check that in? Okay, I'll write my findings in this bug. First of all, I might as well assign this to me. Originally, the way I wanted to solve this is by changing the event order of pressed, our pressed handlers. Since C# does seem to guarantee event order ever since at least .NET 6. However, I don't think that's correct. I just don't think buttons should ever send a pressed event when disabled to begin with. So I don't think the order should matter. But I kind of want to include this code that we have here. So dialog box. Just saving the general thing that I did to fix this. We could just get the diff, save it as a patch, and then put the patch on GitHub, right? Git diff patch, yeah. Whoops. All right, so first of all, what do we... Ooh, I'm in the wrong branch. Ooh. That's not good. Whoopsie doodle. Okay. Well, let's go fix that one first. Git stash. Switch back to main. Cherry pick this. Push that. Stash pop. And then diff this. Yeah, so this should just be the changes I had, right? Nothing extra? Yeah. All right. Put that in a patch file. Get the patch file. Save this here. Can we write diff for this, I think? And then save that off? Yeah, that works. Okay, and I'll write which commit I'm on. Git log -1. This one. From commit. Yeah, sure. All right, so that'll only work if we pushed, which I think I did. And let's delete the patch file that we had. Oh, we gotta say yes to that. And then comment, and that should automatically get linked. Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. Now we can delete it all. How fun. All right, so we just delete this. And problem solved. Let's try it out. We should only ever hear the click sound now. So there are two ways to repro this. One was over here. Click the repeat button. It's working. And the other is over here by clicking this first and then this. It's working. Yeah, great. All right, well, that's easy. I never wrote what I decided to do here, though. Oh, I did write it. So yeah, we can just cancel this. All right, so fix buttons. Stop buttons from playing the bonk sound. They just shouldn't be playing a sound at all when disabled. I wrote more in 861. And then this fixes 861. Cool. All right, bug solved. Now, there's another thing that a friend of mine commented on. Where is it? Here it is. Clarify tooltip for seek food. All right, so my friend was playing the game, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and said, why isn't the garbage slime working? I upgraded this to max. So they got this. And this is interesting. This gets darkened because there's no, it's a max level. I wonder if we should do that. I don't know about that. Anyway, it reads like this. The garbage slime will automatically eat a nearby item from the ground that's about to disappear. This ability can only happen every so often. So then my friend ran into a case like this. Yeah, now we wait a little bit. And there, they saw these items start to flash and they're like, why isn't it eating the items? And I said, it's all, like, you can't lose the items, but they'll still flash to indicate that they're about to disappear. So this is not a bug, but I wonder if there's some way we can clarify the wording on this to make it clear that it's not a bug. Garbage slime will automatically eat a nearby item from the ground. Maybe just before it disappears? You had no idea seek food worked that way? What did you expect based on the way it was worded? Because, yeah, I'd like to be able to clarify this. Hey, Boomer, how's it going? I don't know if you got my DM, but I watched all of your second VOD as well. And I wrote some feedback down, which I probably already addressed some of it. No, I must have addressed... Oh, I guess I wouldn't have addressed all of it. I might have just filed issues for it. But in general, yeah, we've published a bunch of different changes. That he just eat one item off the ground randomly. I didn't read it carefully enough to notice the disappears part. Well, it is pretty much how it works. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. All right, garbage slime will automatically eat a nearby item from the ground that's about to disappear. Maybe we say right before it disappears. I can't wait to play with the updates. I'm certified addicted now to Skeleseller. Glad you're liking it. Yeah, unfortunately, all the updates for the next probably month and a half are just going to be like polish level updates. So as an example, we just made it so that now perks that you can't put points into or can't unlock anymore turn gray. Before, it was just the text would become unreadable. So this is much more obvious what you can afford at a glance. And as you get more money, they light up. So little things like this, they're not drastically altering gameplay or anything. AFK for a while, come back to max gold. Yeah, I tried a potion only run for a while. It's actually surprisingly decent with how the game works right now. Garbage slime will automatically eat a nearby item. Okay, so let's just write some ways that this could potentially change and let's figure out which one's best. So here's one. Another one is to say will automatically eat a nearby item from the ground when it otherwise would have disappeared. That otherwise, yeah, or will automatically eat a nearby item from the ground I think I like this wording already. Is that clearer? Yeah, there was definitely useful feedback. Yeah. The flashing on items gave me anxiety. That's semi-intentional. There is, once you upgrade this, there's no way for items to disappear anymore. So it's a relatively cheap way of avoiding that completely. But it also indicates that, oh, wait a sec. This is a bug. Oh yeah, this is a bug. I gotta write that down. I didn't even realize it until I just clicked that. Bug. Perks are darkened when maxed out. They should never be darkened in that case. It's based on some kind of affordability that is hidden. Yeah. All right, we're going to change the thing to this. Let's go see what that looks like. And then maybe we even delete the nearby part. We'll eat an item from the ground, or on the ground, from the ground. Garbage slime will automatically eat an item from the ground that otherwise would have disappeared. This ability can only happen every so often. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm just going to keep that. All right, so clarify, what is this called? Seek food. Clarify seek food. My friend thought the ability was broken, so I hope this wording will help. Okay, so next, perks are darkened when maxed out. That's purchase skill button right here. That's can afford. We need to check to see if this is at the max level. Yeah, so if the cost label is actually showing. Can afford. And, I mean, we could just check this here, right? Add points button is showing. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, so we go back into town perks over here and just upgrade any of these to max, like this one. It turned dark. Why? Oh, because it hasn't been hidden yet. All right, well, then let's just check the ability. Fine. This is constant time, right? Yes, thank goodness. Okay, so bool is at max level is equal to that. Yeah. All right, now do we need is at max level to be on this button somewhere? Do we already have that concept? We don't, but we probably should. Because we do this check in a bunch of different places, don't we? Yeah, we do. Slurp. That was pretty good, Matt. These are puns that if we could expose in the game and not alienate our entire player base, I'd love to do. But we got Food Critic. And by the way, I think it was Boomer Tester who said that's a great name for the skill. And I was like, that was Matt's idea. Can't take credit for that one. All right, I want an is at max level here. Public bool is at max level. There we go. So now we can delete this, put this here, delete it from here as well. And pretty much anywhere else that we do that check, right? Max level. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. All right, cool. I think I should do it. Expect your royalties. What if I'm like, okay, 99% equity in the game for coming up with a pun? There's a world where that happens, and it's a world where the pun is so potent that it sells like millions of extra copies of the game. The attach rate is tremendous. All right, so the way we test this is going over here. Nice. Okay, so it only darkens when you don't have enough money, not when you've maxed out. And if I save and load, it should be, yeah, the same. Yeah, good. All right, pretty good, pretty good. Let's go check that in. So stop darkening perks when at max level. Actually, it was conditionally darkening them based on how much money you had, but the cost was just whatever the final level was. I didn't go in expecting to get hooked on the game. So wait, the implication here is that you're saying you don't like your friends' games? I think I'm pretty picky about games. I like playing friends' games to give feedback, but I don't necessarily like playing friends' games for fun. And I certainly don't mind giving feedback. But not everyone's always looking for feedback. Wasn't supposed to say that out loud. You mean about Boomer Tester or about my own opinion? Okay, so this one's done. And then the other thing that my friend had complained about was this little issue here, where you sell some items and you're fully zoomed out and the text looks like this. Or like it's clearly blurry. So I think we should probably do here, and maybe this is going to be really annoying, is put this into screen space and scale the font based on the camera zoom. So when you're zoomed in, it looks like it's bigger. Well, oh, them and their friends. No. I mean, they're the one who said this here. Everyone can draw the conclusion. Yeah, so we have this thing here, contextual tip, and I think this does something here, doesn't it, that we need? Mouse position. No, we just position something in the world. We need to make floating text. Let me think about this. We need to make floating text that's in screen space, and we only need to do this for what, 2 places? So selling stuff or feeding to the slimes and clicking a spell book when you don't meet the conditions to cast. Hey, Chili. Getting it to match the camera movement or else it would look odd. What I'm thinking is that we could potentially do this in a way that it doesn't look bad. Because how many people are zooming in as they're reading text? And like, could we get this to be convincing enough? Like, it'll have a world position. I don't know. Let's just try things out. Yeah, Adam said it's you. In a streamer's opinion, and this streamer made a game that I find more fun than your games. Your game is not fun. Does that make sense? Do you want me to give you some notes on that? Like from a fun scale of 1 to 10, yours would be more toward the lower side of the scale. I'm saying like a 1 or a 2, but that's only because the scale doesn't go negative. Otherwise, I would give you negative numbers. Maybe say it's brutal. Just to be clear, I have no idea who Boomer Tester is talking about. So in my mind, this is all just joke territory. But yeah, I would never give that feedback to somebody. Yeah, so let's go make something that will trigger this on page up, I guess. Unhandled input, page up. Okay, so we're going to spawn some text here. How do we do this? Loading text here. Okay, I want to put this at, we're just going to say like testeroni here, and we're going to put this at the portal position. White, let's make it green, I guess. And yeah, the rest of that stuff's fine. Okay. So let's try that out. You got me. Where's the real game? Where's the fun game? The one that you promised in the trailer. All right. Nice. So now we want to turn this into our new text. By the way, this is looking like that on 2x, but on... Well, I guess here it's always going to be illegible. And I think that's okay. But there's a way to make this look even worse. Maybe you scale this and then zoom out. Yeah, then it gets super blurry. Yeah, so we can easily fix this. And that's what we're going to do. Which tile size did you use in the game and why? What are they? 16 by 16, I think. And the Y is, that's what the asset pack used. This is why I'm afraid to build my game publicly. I think that if your game is going to get released publicly, then people will eventually say this stuff no matter what. You could have the most fun game in the world. I mean, if you look at a game like Terraria, which is the most fun game in the world. I actually don't think that. But anyway, if you look at Terraria and you go down to the reviews, there are some people saying this is... Okay, that's a dumb review. We have... Where's an actual review for this? Okay, yeah, like this. I thought I would love it. This isn't harsh at all. Hated default font. Yeah, I think this is I think a good review. It's fair. This person didn't like the game. They're not just like game sucks, LOL. Anyway, my point, and I know Boomer might already be gone eating boy slop, whatever that means, but you can't make a product that everyone's gonna love, and since it'll be on the internet, someone's gonna be a jerk out there. Thought you created those? No. Although if I had created them, I probably still would have gone with something like 16 by 16. I don't think the resolution of the tiles matters too much. It's the aesthetic that matters, and I think the aesthetic is pretty nice. Okay, I see. I've been edumacated. All right, so what's happening when we make a floating text right now? I guess the text itself just needs to be in screen space. So rather than us adding this to the town node, we'd add it to the UI. So what if we just add that directly to the UI? What happens? And we're probably going to get this floating over things it shouldn't float over, like the title screen or something, or the game menu. Yeah, so now it's over there. And yes, it is floating over all of this stuff, and it's not going to follow the camera automatically, which we got working with contextual tip. How did I do that? We set the global position of this, and then something needs to render this somewhere. The UI adds it directly. Instantiate one of these, add it to the canvas layer, and then position it beneath the mouse. Oh, because the mouse's global position is always in screen space. All right, so we just need to convert to screen space. So it's get the position from where the camera is. We need some way to like update this. This doesn't return anything. Drat. All right, we could make this return something. And I guess have a return question mark, return null. And then in this case, just return the actual thing that we have. All right, so now get that. Loading text equals this. So I want to capture whatever the last one we made is and then store that somewhere. Actually, no, maybe this is dumb. Maybe we should just make a label that we position and it always looks fine. I don't know. I'll just store this somewhere over here for right now, though. Public floating text, like last floating text. All right, so get that. And then we want to update this one every once in a while. And this might cease to exist at some point. The text itself has some way of freeing itself. Yeah. So the reference might exist, but it might have been disposed. And we're going to update it in process. So if this is not equal to null, and there's some way to check if it's a valid instance. There we go. And the instance is valid. Then we want to change its position. All right, so how are we going to do this? We get the cameras, get position. What is this? Did I write this? Whoa. I don't remember this. I don't even know if I wrote this. But that's exactly the function I want, so that's great. Hey, Deveronius. I'm new to game development and was wondering what a standard naming convention is for game structures. Does it have similar naming examples like MVC, MVP, MVVM, like in regular programming? So I would say it's all based on whatever you're using. As in, if you're using, let's say, I don't know. Actually, let me stop pontificating about this. It's really whatever you want to implement because it's just a convention. So is anything standard for that? I don't really think so. Like if you're in HTML space and web dev and you're doing CSS classes, like a lot of people use hyphenated classes and something like, dialogue, whatever, quote area. You can name things whatever you want for this. And I'm using C#. I'm following the naming conventions of C# itself. So for example, we have an underscore for private variables. Like even that we could eschew if we wanted to. I guess a better question for me to ask is, why are you asking this? Because maybe I can get at the heart of the question. We've solved your marketing problem. I need you to record a quick 30-second TLDR of what Skeleseller is. What? How do you solve my marketing problem? Because I was going to say, I don't think the problem is just explaining something briefly. And if a video like that existed, I don't know if people would watch it necessarily. But are you saying like tweet it every day until I finally get 100,000 followers? All right, so the object's global position. In this case, we have some position that we want to use. I guess the portal position. And then we have the camera space offset. What even is that? An offset in camera coordinates to apply. If you want something to appear above or below a sprite, you might want to pass the sprite's height here. Oh, this can just be 0. They'll watch it. Is there an actual idea here, Pige? Because I am all ears. Golden Gun had shared the other day that I should probably be making shorts about Skeleseller. And I'm not opposed to that. It's a lot of work. And I don't know. I'm unconvinced so far that it's going to be good payoff, but it might be. Okay, so what does this do? We also have to change the font size here. And I don't want all this to be super hacky, but let's at least try this for right now. So the text is always, going to be positioned at the portal. It's never going to actually float. Well, that's not good. Like it is floating. But it's in screen space right now. So no matter how I zoom. Yeah, we got to stop the nudging. So stop tweening its position. I wonder if we'll need to make another class for this altogether. Because the setting the position of this thing needs to be done in camera coordinates then. Oh, this now fades out immediately. So we needed to tween nothing. Yeah, but we need to tween nothing over the same amount of time. So floating text position should just be position. Yeah. I can tween delay. Yeah. I'm doing things hackily right now because I'm not sure I'm even gonna want to do this. Wait, why is that still tweening in a weird way? What? Oh, I see. I see what's going on. Yeah, fine. Let's do tween delay. There's no tween delay. Unless that's something we added ourselves somewhere. Tween dot star delay. Must be tween interval. What does this do? Creates and appends an interval tweener. Create delays in the tween animation. Yeah, okay, cool. So what does this take in? Just a time. Perfect. Currently trying to learn and build my own game. I'm used to naming my data classes, models, my logic handlers, controllers, and such. Most names are derived from what their purpose is, and some are layered. So here's what I would say. Since you're trying to learn this stuff, don't focus on naming conventions too much. I think the more important things are going to be game logic, whatever game engine you're using, and just kind of becoming familiar with this stuff. Naming is something that if you're familiar with because you've coded before, then you can just apply to your own program and it'll feel natural. But otherwise, I think this is one of those details that it falls under the category of new developers get stuck on this without realizing it doesn't really matter at first. And I don't know what your entirety of your experience is. So possibly, I don't know, maybe you've been in the industry for 10 years and it's like, okay, I want to make my first game, but I want to make it perfect. Or maybe you've been doing some coding for a few weeks. And if you've been in it for 10 years, I wouldn't expect you to ask this sort of question, I guess. So I'm assuming you're more toward the new side of the experience spectrum. But yeah, I would say focus on this stuff and like, do you even like making games? Like, do I enjoy this? If you don't enjoy making games, by the way, it's not a very good industry to be in because I think there's a lot of competition, not great hours and stuff, not great culture around all this. All right, cool. So we got this. And now I think I just want the font size to be based on the zoom of the camera. So how do we change the font size? There it is. And that is currently private, but not anymore for now. Again, we're just trying to hack this together for right now. Now we do last floating text label, override the font size to this, and then figure out what this should be based on the camera's zoom. All right, so when we're at a zoom level of a low number, we want the font size to be higher. And what are the possible zoom values we can have? Where are they? There they are. So we can go from 1 to 8. So maybe at 1, we want this to be like 24. And maybe at 8, we want it to be... Wait, no, did I say that right? Maybe we just always want it to be 24. I don't actually know what we want this to be. When we're zoomed out, we do want it to be smaller. Okay, so then yeah. So let's just do the camera zoom times 3 or something like that. Can't convert from float to int. All right, let's see where that brings us. Make it work, then make it good. Well, so what I'm thinking more along the lines of is, imagine if I was like, write a book. I didn't give you any other instruction. I was just like, write a book. Your first thought might be something like on what or what length or what genre. All of these things scope it down such that it becomes easier and easier to come up with an idea. Because if I said something like write a 2-page book on, I don't know, game dev in the year 2024, whatever, I had 4 more qualifiers. It's like you don't even really have a lot of creativity to apply anymore. It's like, wow, we narrowed it down to the point where it's like I'm writing a couple paragraphs on a news article from a while ago. I find that any creative endeavor, when you apply these scopings, helps quite a lot. So same thing with poetry. If I said like write a poem without the letter E, this makes you think in a different way. And I think the same thing goes for learning. If I just said like go learn development, well, that's a multi-year endeavor. It's probably going to lead you down a lot of rabbit holes. So now if we scope it to something like learn game dev, but start by making Pong and don't worry about how you name your variables or your files. It's like, all right, that becomes a lot easier. Hey, Q, how you doing? 10 plus years app dev, both native and hybrid. So the code size is very easy to pick up and had a very easy deep dive into finite state machines and such, how game logic works, but around how architectures function is not much. So I think there are two parts of this though. Architecture is not the same as I'd say naming conventions. So if you're just talking about like, what do people do for setting up their UI in a game? Like that's something I think is worth looking into. I was gonna say, I don't think the naming conventions are important. You can name all your variables like shouty things like health of player. And then on the next line, name something totally different like player armor. This is not gonna make your game better or worse. So if you're just talking about naming conventions, like I would say, don't worry about that. The architecture though does matter. And yeah, if you know how to code, then I'd say go through the documentation of a game engine you're interested in, and game engines will naturally steer you in certain ways. So for example, Godot is an object-oriented programming architecture that typically does things with the observer pattern that they call signals. And that's a lot of how you're going to end up making your UI. Is something like, oh, the player just took damage, emit a signal, and then somewhere the UI is going to listen to it and modify your health bar. So yeah, I would just say go through some of the getting started guides for an engine that you're interested in. And the thing that I've been linking recently to chat is this, the 20 games challenge. This has a list of games that you could start by making. It starts with Pong and it works its way up to Portal. I don't know how many people actually try making all 20 games, but if you look at the first like 3 or 4, they're games you've almost certainly played some variation of. Like I think most people have probably played Pong or at least seen Pong. So you don't have to focus on the game design and you don't have to focus on the graphics usually either. This doesn't give you graphics, but like for Pong, you need some rectangles. For Flappy Bird, I'm sure you can find some asset pack online for free that just gives you something similar enough to use. Breakout again, pretty much, yeah, it's rectangles, right? I guess you can pretty much use rectangles for any of these things until you start to get to maybe some of the more advanced ones. Naming things is still one of my worst enemies. I'm not saying naming things is necessarily easy, although naming conventions are typically easy because the convention is like, are you in case A? Okay, name it this way. Are you in case B? Name it this way. I didn't actually test this, did I? No, what's going on? The font size isn't changing at all, is it? Let's print this out. Oh, maybe I never reran this. I'm very sidetracked right now. No, it's not doing anything. Does it say that it's changing? It does. But it's not actually modifying the font size, huh? That's strange. Do I need to do anything else about this? Add theme font size override. Nothing should be modifying this afterward. And I don't see a problem here. Maybe, oh, maybe we change this such that this will never work. I think we turn these into rich text labels. Yeah, so then the font size is something you control via the label itself. Oh, that's kind of a shame. Because I don't know a super easy way of doing this. But I guess what we could do is we could just do it this way. We could just change the text dynamically then. We can set label. Is there a set text on this? No, there isn't. I didn't have a reason to do that. But we can still just access the label directly and just set the text equal to, how's that work? Font size equals? Yes, something like that. Well, let's turn that into a $sign. I don't fully remember if it's... No, that is correct. Okay, good. Yeah, and then we get the original text, which is just testeroni. So let's do that. You just said normal instead of font size? I'm not sure the right names. Oh, okay, yeah. That would be better. I should do that. All right, we got that working. It's now offset because it's not centered. So I need it to be centered. So I guess we just change this back to what Kevin was suggesting. And we set this to normal font size. And then we got to make sure it stays centered. It does already have that on there, so I think that should work. All right, yeah. So now as you zoom out or zoom in, the text actually does change in size. Obviously, at the smallest size, it's illegible. So we need to come up with numbers that actually work for this. Yeah. So at the smallest, let's have it be. Wait. Is it fine when it's at the biggest size? No, it should be much bigger than this. So maybe let's just multiply everything by 2 and see where that puts us. All right, that's pretty good. Maybe not when you're zoomed out. Yeah, maybe at the low end it could be a little bit more. I should have taken a picture of what this used to look like. I don't have a way of doing that, do I? Oh no, it's still showing. Well, it's kind of showing. So this is what this used to be. It was taking up like half the slime. And so I guess still fully zoomed in. It could be bigger. I guess let's multiply by 2 again. Hope you're well and not working too hard. Hey Grim. Yeah, I think today's going pretty well. I'm not doing a whole lot here. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, nice. And now it's readable no matter what zoom level you're at. Although it does look like the shading changes or the outline. Is there a black outline on that? Am I making that up? No, there is, right? Yeah, there is. So I wonder if that should also get thicker as we make this. Is there a way to control that? There are theme overrides, font size, normal font size, outline size. There it is. Yeah, we could change the outline size. I don't know what this currently is. Maybe it's 1. Is that 1 pixel? Yeah, it's probably 1 pixel. Okay, so maybe for the bigger sizes, we can make it 2 or 3. So we say something like camera.zoom.x, math.ceiling of that divided by, let's say 3. Yeah, so now it'll be a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 3. Cannot convert from double to int. Oh, hey, sorry. I didn't see your messages over on YouTube. I have it open on my screen, but so few people type things on YouTube that I just don't tend to read it too much. I don't think this worked. Right? The outline size didn't change. Let's just set it to 10. Because I think this is doing nothing. And if we try setting it to 10, we'll at least find out if it's doing nothing. No, it's definitely not doing anything. Okay, there are a couple of reasons potentially why. One is that we might have done it via the BB code option in there. So if we search for an opening square bracket, no, it's just center. That's all we apply. Oh, I guess the text could have passed it in, but I don't. So no, it can't be that. 2 is that it could be a different property altogether. Like it could actually be the shadow that's being modified. I guess we could just open up floating text and find out what it is. Where is this? There it is. This definitely looks like it has an outline. Outline size 3. Why does setting that to 10 not work then? That's strange. Did I type it wrong? What is the property path on this? Theme override constants. Oh, this is font size. Oh god, I hate this stupid thing. All right, it's some theme constant override, which now this isn't working for. Hey, thanks, Museus. Get some chatters on YouTube and Kick. Nice, nice, nice. What are your thoughts on Schedule 1 being made by a solo indie dev and sold over 5.2 million copies? I haven't actually looked at the game myself. In general, whenever I hear that an indie dev made a ton of money, I'm happy for them. So I'm happy for them in this case. But yeah, I don't know much about the game. I haven't looked at the reception or anything. It's interesting because there is a level of sales where it doesn't really matter what your game is priced, because Steam has a minimum price, I think, of $1 if you're going to charge. So anyway, at $1, if you make whatever 10 million sales, it's like, I think that's already life-changing amount of money. Steam takes their cut, you get $7 million. Like, that's going to move the needle for a lot of people. Schedule 1 is not a $1 game as far as I know. So if they sold 5 million copies at, let's find out what they're selling it for. Oh, $20. Okay, so they made $100 million gross. They get 70 million of that. That's a life-changing amount of money for a game that they made. It's cool to think about. This is like people who get a winning lottery ticket, and it's like one tiny decision overnight changes their lives. Games are not one tiny decision. It's a ton of decisions and a ton of work, but it's still the same concept of you finally launch it and you're like, whoa, I have not seen that many zeros in my bank account before. I don't know. I don't know what it would take for Skeleseller to reach any sort of like massive success. And what I've been trying to focus on is like, how is the game spreading? And it's just not really right now. And maybe it's because of the demo. Maybe it's because there's no sort of festival going on around this stuff. So I'm very, very intrigued by what's going to happen during Next Fest. Because the last festival we were in, which was the only festival we were in, was Idler Fest, which I think was February. And Idler Fest, you needed to be an idle game, but you did not have to have a demo or no demo. You could just have a store page, I think. I think that was the only requirement. Now, we happen to have a demo, but what Steam pushed was all of the games that are paid games or have some monetization route in them. And it makes sense Steam would do that. Steam is a business. I'm not blaming them for this. But Skeleseller was just a demo. So there were like 5 tabs that existed. And they were things like top selling and, I don't know, up and coming or something. And then there was like games with demos. We were only in this tab. So we could only be seen in one of the tabs. We didn't have the visibility for anything else. We didn't have the, I don't know. Anyway, we still got traffic, even despite all of that. So now I imagine for Next Fest, if we can do well there, then probably we can do well on Steam as a marketplace. So yeah, let's see if that happens. More or less realize that the game will be quite successful on launch. Yeah, and that's another thing I've been talking about. Right now, we're just shy of 1,600 wish lists. That's not a crazy amount. If we knew that we had, let's say, 100,000 wish lists, then we know that pretty much every little thing we do for this game will probably get appreciated by somebody. But if your game has, let's say, 10 wish lists, there's no guarantee those 10 people are going to buy it. And yeah, what happens if really no one buys it? Thanks, Boomer Tester. Welcome in. You never know. Only takes one big streamer to pick up a game and it may go crazy. So this is potentially true, but I think it's not necessarily good thinking to look at your game this way. I kind of talk about it this way. Prevailing advice nowadays is make a good game and let the algorithm pick it up. Or I should say make a good piece of content. And this kind of holds true for videos, for games, for anything where you just throw it onto a platform that's like the marketplace for it. So if you're making a video, you're probably going to put it on YouTube, right? And at that point, sure, you can do your marketing yourself, but if the YouTube algorithm picks it up, it can show it to millions of people. Like, you're not going to get that kind of reach for free. But if YouTube likes your video, then yeah, you will get that reach for free. So this whole thing about like one streamer picking it up, Yeah, that can happen, and it probably has changed the direction of some of these games. But in general, I think if your game is fun, it's good, it's polished, then people will probably naturally want to play it and share it, and then Steam will naturally want to push it to more people. Oh, thanks, Boomer. Did you create a new file from that line? I'm just making new tabs, that's all. So what I wanted to do here is there's theme constant override this. And now we want to set this to a minimum or a certain amount. I don't know what we want to set that to exactly. Maybe we divide by 2. I don't know. Let's try that and see what it looks like. I think logically as a dev, if I was running a publishing shop and had capital to fund 5 full games, I'd rather fund 20 vertical slices and fully fund the 2 to 3 that gain traction. Yeah, and what's kind of cool is that's what's happening to the industry at large. Right, if you look at some of the runaway hits from the last however many years, and you see games like Vampire Survivors and Balatro, which is apparently that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I always said Balatro myself. And now what? Schedule 1. There are other games that I think I don't know how runaway of a hit they are, but games like Repo and what was the other one? The space survival, land on a planet, do some stuff for the day. I don't remember what that was called. Lethal Company. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, games like this, yeah, Deep Rock Galactic. This is that game being played out at a larger scale, right? These are the runaway hits. And if you were a publisher who controlled all of these, you'd be like just staring at money signs all day. I think that if you're a studio, you don't have the resources and you probably don't have the know-how to do this sort of thing. And it's a long enough time scale where you may not build that in your lifetime. Like imagine if you have the time and space to build 2 games. Could you build a third one after that, or a fourth one, or a fifth one if those first 2 failed? And how many people are going to get that amount of time to build 2 games? So like I spent a heck of a lot of time on Botland, and I learned a ton from this. And especially this, the greatest lesson that I learned from this was product market fit is important. And I think with games, the way you validate your product market fit is by releasing iteratively and getting feedback, and then being very honest about how you process that feedback. It's easy to get feedback from the wrong people. There's this book called The Mom Test, which is like, don't ask your mom for business advice. Your mom's going to say that your business is great. So you've got to ask questions in a roundabout way, or you've got to find people in a different way than just finding your mom, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, that's why we've been launching checkpoints and getting feedback, and why I've had these surveys very prominently in the stream for a while now of like, is the game fun? Are people enjoying it? Are they engaging with it? Oh, you don't know my mom? Please ask her about Skeleseller. I'm just hating at the moment. A lot of AAA games that came out with full bugs. They really need to stop putting the game out too early. So this is the gamer perspective versus the business perspective, right? Like for a game to not succeed monetarily, it means that people aren't buying it enough, right? If people are buying a game with bugs, then it means that the market will sustain games with bugs. And I mean, this is why we have the phrase vote with your wallet. If you don't like this practice, then I guess the only way you could do this is refund the game if you found out there were bugs, or you'd have to trust other people to know that the bugs are frustrating enough for you. Saw me playing Skeleseller and wants to try it out. Nice. Did you have to give Steam your source code to check for viruses? No, you don't have to do that. Welcome in, Korean. What was I just doing here? Oh yeah, this. I want to see if the outline changed. And it's not, but I don't know why. Camera zoom divided by 2. So at a level of 8, that should be, oh, it should only be an outline of 2. Oh, which means that this would have changed. And I just probably can't see it. Yeah, maybe that's 2 pixels now. It looks like it is. Okay, so what we want to do instead of dividing by 2 then is divide by like, no, let's just not divide by anything. So now it'll go up to 8. Wait, no, 2, it would have been 4. What am I talking about? I don't know how numbers work. Is it? Yeah, it's getting thicker. Okay. Yeah, so we can multiply this by 1.5, let's say. Do you have a monetization plan? Is it going to be a one-time purchase? Yeah, just one-time purchase. I want the average price to be about $10. So we'll probably start it at like 13 or 14 and discount it down to 10. Or discount it lower as time goes on. Yeah, this looks pretty good. All right, so this will allow the font to be crisp at any level. And we would just need to massage this code. And I don't feel like doing the code massaging right now. But I think this is how we're going to change all of our rendering. Because here's... Oh, wait, I can't show this, can I? No, I can't show this because I deleted everything. How do I undelete everything? I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to stash this for now, though. In the pet hats. We do have snakebuddy.png. All right, let's go stash this. Stash push dash M. Floating text in screen space. All right, so now get stash list should show this. Cool. Let's copy this over here. Where did I have this written down? Huh. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I worked on this briefly. Changes to make still. Nudge the text using... Oh, what is that function called? Screen space. Yeah. Nudge the text via this. Call this via the text processing. Give it the town. Maybe just make another class for this. I don't want battles to be changed. At least I don't think so. Why would battles? Hang on a second. Battles don't have a camera zooming in on them, so I think it should be okay. Wait, no, maybe it won't be. Because we will eventually allow you to maximize battle windows. Yeah. Was that Winamp's slogan? Okay. Have we done anything worth pushing? Because I've done a lot of nothing today so far, I feel. Let's see. What are the commits that we have? I have 2 more here, so let's push those. Okay, so all we've done, fixed a typo. That's not worth pushing. This one's decent. This one's, yeah, decent. Yeah, we could push a new version. It's just this is so minor that I'm not even sure it's worth doing. Yeah. Press R for bosses. Whoops. Talking, working through ideas is something. Actually, yeah, I guess we put a lot of thought into this, and I just didn't do the work yet. And I guess I did the get stash thing that I also did not commit. So I'm doing a lot of half-worked ideas. Bosses and the new adventurers. Keep chat company. That is only a very minor goal of what I'm doing here. The mouse bug. Oh yeah, hey, we never looked into this anymore. Let me try that out. There was some issue where if you confine the mouse to the screen and then zoom in, whoa, it's going nuts. Oh man, it like flies off the screen for some reason. I think it's because of how confining to the window works. Yeah, it's doing that thing now. Okay. So wait a second. I think I know what the bug probably is. Every once in a while, you can get this zoom out thing to be zoomed out, but still be active. I don't know how you do that though. Is it like that? No. Oh God, everything's broken. My other monitor zoomed in, but I can't. Okay, this is this is super broken. I I can't move my mouse off of this monitor now. Do I need to like start Skeleseller and then close it again? I can't really read chat. It's like super zoomed in on my other monitor. I don't know what's going on. Let's turn this off. Uh-oh. This has never happened. How do I stop this? Oh, there we go. I could zoom in and then pan over there. All right, I can finally see chat. Yeah, I think I probably need to take a bit of a break. The problem is that I'm going to be on the Twitch front page on Wednesday, and I've got to be like on for 8 hours on that day. So the only real time I'd have to take off would be Tuesday, I think. And yeah, that was Secret of Mana. I've always loved this background. Push what I'm working on in a branch. Map drawing, if you want to give it a try, yeah, sure. Whoops. I don't have any changes, right? Get fetch Kevin. All right, let's try running this. Love the stream so far. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I think this afternoon, what I've been trying to do, I've been trying to have mornings be for improving the game and like little polish things, and then afternoons for something slightly more interesting to me. And I think this afternoon we'll work on the game intro. The intro is essentially in this video. Can access the drawing screen from the debug menu. There's a couple of controls to draw. Yeah. I must have gotten something wrong here. But the thing I don't understand is... Oh, it doesn't even think... Oh, a branch is expected. Got remote branch. Okay, there we go. There we go. Time to start drawing. I see. It's drawing underneath all of the scatter and everything. So wait, the rectangle worked there, but when you draw it from the upper right, it doesn't work? Yeah. I think rectangles had to be drawn from upper left to bottom right, but not from upper right to bottom left. This is a reasonable thing to have to work with. Yeah. I think no, any other set of corners you draw from doesn't make them work. That's okay. This seems like we should be able to dynamically create maps then. Yeah. The audio files. I'm not gonna make those public. My wife yesterday, she's like, "Can you send me the lyrics?" I'm like, "They're right in the video." She's like, "Yeah, but I want to have them so that I can rap alongside the video." She's very supportive of my rap career. Okay, interesting. Generating the map does take some time. All right, so here's what we can do. We can wipe out everything. And now this is Skeleseller. Now what if we build the farm? It looks so goofy. It's like they're in the desert. Yeah, interesting though. I I think there's going to need to be a lot that we do with this feature to get it to be just automatically dynamic in every case and just have it look good. And I think that if we have to do some of it manually, it might not provide a lot of benefit. But we'll have to see. But yeah, cool so far. So I think what I determined from the repo is that it's probably not worth pushing a change. We have this though. I kind of want to push that. Maybe I push a change and I just don't produce patch notes because that would be fast. Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'll go to project.godot. We'll call this 076, bump project version to 076. And then we'll go through the release instructions that I had. Tools. Yeah. I need to spend some time organizing this stuff. Yeah, yesterday wasn't the best day, and I'm not totally sure why. I did some stuff. I spent some time designing. I spent some time... I don't know what else I did. I think I probably need a break. Almost to the point where I kind of wonder, is it worth doing what I plan on doing in the afternoon? I think it'll be fun, but there are days where I think pretty early on you can tell I am not operating at 100%. And not even like my mood is fine. I'm not sick or anything. My brain isn't cooperating. And on those days, I think if you still want to work, you've got to be careful about what work you pick. Because there's probably a lot of mechanical work I could still do. I'm not sure it's worth it. Boomer, are you trying to do something specific? Because I could just send you the instrumental if you want. Oh, I am curious what you want to do with it. Actually, it wouldn't be, I guess, super easy to do because there's a lot of sound effects and stuff in that. But yeah, need the vocal performance. It's very important. I don't trust whatever your plans are. I don't think if anyone ever types, it's very important that I should trust them. All right, cool. So it's uploading right now. Oh, I gotta sign in. Hang on a second. Requires two-factor auth. Let me get this. Oh wait, it didn't require two-factor auth. That's weird. Strange. Okay, did it finish uploading? Yes. Now we just need to tag this as the live build. Doing this off screen. Give me a sec. Click that, click that, click that. Oh, I got to type in something here. Done and done. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the new version has very, very few changes. And like I said, I'm probably not going to publish patch notes, but they're just what you see here. And the only one that really affects people is probably this one. Yeah. Which is that now perks are darkened if you can't afford them. Oh, good. It made another UID file out of something that's weird. We've had this for a very long time, haven't we? I think the tool didn't make this. Huh, strange. Anyway, the thing I was going to show is this. When you can afford stuff. Oh, this isn't working. Oh my God, I'm on the wrong branch. Oh God, wait, that means I pushed the wrong thing. Okay, that was dumb. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. You're leaving one behind if you want to keep it by creating new branch, switch to main. Why is there an asterisk there? Because of this? Oh God. Oh no. Oh no. I think we need to redo all of what I just did. I pushed some some old version. No. Yeah, whoops. Oh, did I even do that on the wrong branch? Oh God, I did. Oh God. All right. Bail out of this. Bail out of this. Wait, so that means that I messed everything up. It even said that I had a commit, right? Which I think is just lost to the ether. I mean, all I did is do that. I didn't push that though, did I? I couldn't have. I was in detached head mode. Yeah, all right. So bump game version 2076. All right, we're going to sync that. I'm going to do this correctly now. All right, this is proof I probably shouldn't be doing anything important today. Hey, no bug. No, this isn't catastrophic or anything. In fact, I'm not actually certain what I pushed, but it was based on what Kevin made, I'm assuming last night or today. So it's probably I pushed absolutely no change. But I certainly didn't intend to push no change. So it'll take a couple minutes to fix, and then that'll be that. I should probably modify my release instructions so that that doesn't happen again, huh? Make sure you're on main. Actually, I'll put it like this. I'm physically ill. Add warning to release instructions. All right, this is almost done. It's pushed Mac and Windows, or built. It hasn't pushed. Okay, so this should be totally done now. Waiting for it to return to the prompt. Could add something in the export script. Yeah, I want to automate pretty much the whole thing. So for right now, I'm going to leave them as manual instructions. In fact, I read about some technique a long time ago, which said write all of your instructions files as scripts and functions. So basically, you'd have something like this, like function ensure on main, and it would just say something like, "Are you on the main branch?" And you'd have some other function here like, I don't know, build everything. And it would just say, go build everything. And then you have your main build that just does all of those functions that you have. And they said that you should pretty much write all of your scripts like this to begin with, because then you can automate even just a single step and you'll gain some value. And it's clear what steps you're running. So while it's manual, it's obviously just manual. It's just printing stuff. But then when you automate this stuff, you start gaining that value over time. Did I run this just now? Because I am not in great shape is what I'm realizing here. Oh man. Where is the tools thing? Upload to Steam. I did apparently run this. Did I run the itch one? No. Yeah, let's go try this again. Default preview, get this here. 7.6 upload. Okay, I think we should be good now. I'm gonna wait a little bit and then test this out. It says update required, and maybe if I click update, it's gonna skip right to the newest one. Let's try it. We can compare build IDs, but I'm gonna run it and we'll just see what happens. It should say 076 on the title screen. It does. So that means that we should have perks showing up correctly, right? I don't have the money. You kidding me? All right, we got to go earn the money to be able to do this. I have to actually play the game. This shouldn't take very long. We just need to sell 4 potions. And we just got 3 of them right there. Come on, customers. I don't have a debug build to make you go buy stuff instantaneously. You can do it. You can do it. All right, we got 3 more of those. All right, we need just a tiny bit more. All right, great. Perfect. We can afford this now. This is not correct. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. Version 076 was still on the other branch. So I need to wait for the next update. Oh, well, thankfully this time we can just hit save game. So we don't need to do that again. I guess we could have done it from here too. All right, I'm just waiting for this to finish. And then I have a big question of, do I even stream in the afternoon? This is how things are going. I do want to work on the intro, and I think it'd be fun, but I wonder what poor decisions I'll make while doing it. We could storyboard it, I guess. You know what? Maybe that's what we do. We storyboard the intro and maybe design the spirit color some more. Yeah, I feel like I need a little bit of a break. I do want to see this thing become playable or updatable. Maybe I should just publish patch notes anyway. No one's gonna read them. And the version is there on itch, right? Yeah, it's just 7 minutes ago though. That's, oh, I see. It lumped 2 of these notifications into one. So if I edit this, it should not say 7 minutes ago. Yeah, it says 3. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so that one's fine. It will eventually hit Steam. It takes me sometimes up to 6 minutes. And I mean, I'd literally just be waiting around for this, I guess. I just finished storyboarding go to market or market entry strategy. Try to turn on my game dev brain. Had to pull it back into work and business. The storyboarding I want to do is for the intro, and there are very few beats to hit for that. It's like you leave town and you say, I'm ready to adventure. And then you fight a bat and you beat the bat. And then you fight a snake and you get poisoned. And then your life starts ticking down. And you go into town, try to buy an antidote. There isn't one. And you die. And that's it. And then I guess fade to black. Like I'm already almost done storyboarding this whole thing. And then we fade to black. And when we resume, it's exactly what happens when you click new game, I guess. So you go to the title screen, come over to here. Oh wait, no, this won't work because I have it skipping this tutorial. But anyway, the skeleton on the left side. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I would expect it to last about maybe 20 seconds. I'm just waiting for this thing to see if I did this correctly. Man. I think we'll probably play through Skeleseller once or twice on Wednesday. I think the more we show gameplay on that day, the better. And Monday is pretty much just going to be prep for Wednesday. Then once all that's done, and assuming I'm not like totally wiped out by all the energy that it took, the main goal is going to be prepping for Next Fest. What kind of hat is the snake wearing? I think a top hat. Snake with a top hat. Okay, that's pretty great. Is it like snakes with hats a thing? Oh my goodness, it is. Look at that, a Santa hat. Wasn't that what Mr. Krabs wears? Doesn't he have a hat? Am I making this up? Yeah, it's the Mr. Krabs hat. Or I guess the Krusty Krabs hat. Krusty Krab. We got a bunch of different things. A little Robin Hood hat. Yeah. Okay, this is taking longer than I would have expected now at this point. When did I run this? 12 o'clock for itch. 11:59 for Steam. Should be happening any second now. I mean, I know I didn't immediately go and use the 2-factor auth thing, but that should have been shortly thereafter. Come on, game. Update. What's it doing? Maybe I messed something up. Let's go take a look. I don't think I did, but you never know. $11:59 live. 1816. Let's go take a look at what this is. Properties, updates. 18161061. Yeah, that's not right. It should be 1086 at the end. I'm just gonna restart Steam. All right, engage privacy mode. I think it launches my friends list when I do this. Give me a sec, it's loading. Yep, there's the friends list. Okay, so back to here. Oh, good, it found the update. Is there a way to do that without restarting Steam? Okay, so we just load game, and we should just immediately be able to test this. Yeah, perfect. That's it. That's all I wanted to test. All right. I'm going to get going. I got to eat lunch. I got to go make lunch. I will probably be back in the afternoon, but I expect it to be a very boring stream. So if you're all about boring streams, then I guess try to make it to that. We're going to probably storyboard the intro and maybe do some adventurer design, like skill design. And I don't even know what else, but it probably is not going to be interesting. Is that a hole in the privacy cover? It's the screen. It's just shrunk down to like 10 by 10 or something, so you can't actually read anything on the screen. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I am just about to hit 1,600 wishlists on Steam. So if you have not wishlisted the game, I think we're at like 1,596. With just 4 more, we can say we're at an arbitrary milestone of 40 squared. Enjoy lunch. Boring stream is still getting to feel like I'm hanging out with someone while home alone during the day. So you're saying my streams are boring, Sinistella? Well, I'm offended. Yeah, no, it is fun hanging out at least. I like that. And I think it's nice having company. I'm not going to rate anyone because I probably will be back in the afternoon. So I will just say goodbye for now. And if I don't see you again, have a good weekend. Bye, everybody.